Councilwoman Ferguson, could you please do the invocation?
Good evening, everyone. Father God, I just thank you and I praise you. I give you the glory and the honor. And I thank you for your tender mercies and for your loving kindness. I invite you into this meeting tonight and I ask that your will be done. And Father God, I ask that your peace will be with us, your wisdom will be with us, and that you will lead and guide us into all truth. I thank you for your constant protection and for just being mindful of us always. And Father God, I ask that you will bless this meeting and all who are participating in the meeting, and that you will bless our families and our communities. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Hello, everyone. Councilwoman Jones?
Here.
Councilman Herring?
Here.
Councilman Hairston?
Here.
Councilwoman Guillaume?
Here.
Councilwoman Fareed? Vice President Ferguson?
Here.
President Curtis?
Here.
I see Councilwoman Fareed is here. I'm a marker. We have
Here.
all attendance. Thank you. We have 7 in attendance.
Okay. Have a motion to adopt the agenda. I'll first. Second.
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 Second by Councilman Guillaume. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Harry?
Looking at the agenda, you have 4 resolutions for people for the Glen Housing Authority, and there's only 5 spots, right?
Yeah. One of the discussion points was going to be to table Marcia Conley.
Okay. Yeah, because there's 2 spots already filled.
Yeah, so it's, yes, 3. And I spoke with Marcia and let her know that we're going to table her. So she's the only one we don't have a resume for.
Okay.
Is that it? Was it all?
That is it. I'll speak on the legislation when we get to it.
Okay.
All right.
Any other discussion? Okay. The only other one was, as I said to Councilman Herring, I spoke with Marcia. That's one resolution, one resume that we did not have, and as such, we cannot vote on her to be a part of the be a commissioner. I spoke with her. She fully understands, and so we will. That's the only thing that I have for discussion is to remove her as a candidate. Any other discussion before we vote? Okay. Council Clerk, could you go ahead with the roll call to accept the agenda with the removal of Marcia Conley resolution?
Councilwoman Jones?
Yes.
Councilman Herring?
Yes.
Councilman Hairston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson?
Yes.
President Curtis?
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
Thank you. First up are the minutes that were produced at the work session this month. The minutes from May 2nd, May 9th, and May 17th. I have a motion to vote on these. Any motion to vote for the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Jones. Second. Second, Councilman Herring. Any discussion for the minutes? Okay. This vote will be to accept the minutes for May 2nd, May 9th, and May 17th. Council Clerk?
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
Thank you. Next up is only one topic of discussion, council portrait dates. The council clerk has lined up 3 dates that I believe the photographer is available, and that's Thursday, July the 7th, Tuesday, July the 12th, and Thursday, July the 14th. Open up to discussion for this. I'll start off by saying that I'm only available on July the 7th. I'll be out of town on July the 12th and the 14th. But open to discussion for anybody else.
I too am struggling with the date, so I'll just wait to see what everybody says. I know it's a long time coming, but I'm literally available like anytime after the 14th, but I could try to work some magic. I don't know.
The 7th will work for me if any of the days work for me, so I'm good. Any of those days.
Anybody else?
What time are they looking at?
7 p.m.
Okay, yeah, any of those days.
The 7th is good for me also.
7th is good for me, Ferguson.
Councilwoman Fareed,
That works for me.
Councilman Hairston.
Any date works for me. I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Guillaume, do you know what day after the 14th you are available?
Literally any day after the 14th. Like that Monday, that following week, like, so for the 14th is a Friday, am I mistaken? I mean, it's
Thursday.
Thursday. Sorry.
Thursday.
15, 16, 17. Like the week of the 18th, I am available. I'm available, period, anytime after. But
Okay.
if it has to be done, I'll just have to do something.
I'd rather us all be together. I know we're all available on the 7th, but don't want to like keep on punting it down the road. But if is anybody opposed to the 18th at 7 p.m.?
How about the 21st?
Okay.
And
The 18th on the 21st at 7 p.m.
And either of those work for me, but if it doesn't work for everybody else, I don't know, I'll do something. But those dates work for me.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
All right. Councilman Harry.
You said the 18th or the
Uh,
21st.
Yeah.
Come back to me. Let me look and see.
Okay. Ms. Jones, you said the 21st, so you're not available the 18th?
I'll make it work if that's what, if we have a quorum.
Okay. Councilwoman Fareed,
The 18th or the 21st works for me.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Is 18th an option?
18th or 21st, yes.
I mean, as far as, I thought you said that, Council Clerk, these dates were cleared by the photographer.
Oh,
Council
sorry.
Clerk,
The photographer said he's very open, but those are just the days that we came up with because we typically have meetings on, Monday, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays. So we try to keep it on a Thursday, but he's very open. So the 18th or the 21st, I will run it by him. I'm pretty sure he'll make some room for us.
I don't know. The 18th is okay, but no.
The 21st. I'm sorry, say that again.
21st, I'm gonna have to try to see if I can flip something.
Well, so let's go with the 18th.
I mean, both of those dates. So either one, I mean, I'll just try to comply.
Okay. So let's do this. Everybody's available except for Councilman Guillaume on the 7th. If the 18th is not available, then we move forward with the 7th. If the 18th is available, then we all get together on the 18th. Does that sound good, Councilman
That's
Guillaume?
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
It does. I don't know if Councilman Herring had a.
I'm sorry,
Councilman
Councilman Herring.
Calendar.
Thank you, Councilman Guillaume.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You said 18th?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good on the 18th.
okay.
All right, thanks.
All right. If the photographer's available on the 18th, we'll do it then. If not, we'll stick with the 7th. Okay. And we have a long list of legislation, so we'll go by one. Council Clerk and I will take turns reading them. So she'll start off with the first one. Council Clerk. We start off with R32 2022.
Okay. Resolution number R32, 2022, introduced by Derek D. Curtis II, Council President, co-sponsor at the request of the administration. Public hearing Tuesday, May 17th, regular session. Date of introduction Tuesday, June 21st. This is a resolution accepting the FY 2021 Independent Auditor's Report. Whereas Rayrich, Cronin, and SOAR Charter submitted the FY 2021 Independent Auditor's Report to the Mayor and the City Council on February 18th, 2022, and presented the FY 2021 Auditor's Report to citizens on April 11th, 2022. And whereas the Council has reviewed the FY 2021 Auditor's Report and is satisfied that it can be accepted, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022 as follows. The City Council accepts the Independent Auditor's Report submitted by Rayrich, Cronin, and SOAR Charter, which is attached to this resolution as Exhibit A. The FY 2021 Independent Auditor's Report has been submitted to the Maryland Department of Legislative Services, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Thank you, Council Clerk. I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Okay, Council Clerk, could you do the roll call, please?
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
Okay. Next up, R33 2022, a resolution to approve an agreement with R Recreation for the purchase, installation of new playground equipment and low impact wellness equipment. Introduced by Derek Curtis, Council President, co-sponsor at the request of the administration. Public hearing was on Tuesday, May 17th. This is the regular session, and date of introduction is today, June 21st, 2022. Whereas the city of Glenard received a grant from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources to complete a redevelopment of the Martin Luther King Park, and whereas with the city's receipt of project open space funding, they began the planning process of renovating Martin Luther King Park, and whereas part of the redevelopment and renovation includes the installation of new playground equipment and low impact wellness equipment, and whereas quotes were obtained to perform services to install requested equipment, and the quotes are attached here to as Exhibit A. And whereas the City Council concurs in the award of a contract to All Recreation at the above rate, and determines that the bidding requirements of the charter have been satisfied. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Glenard in Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June, 2022, has determined that the City Council approves the agreement with All Recreation for the purchase and installation of new playground equipment and low impact fitness facility for an amount not to exceed $149,999 and 0 cents. That the contract amount shall be payable from the open space grant line item in the city's annual budget. And 3, that this resolution should take place immediately upon adoption. Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
So moved from Councilman Fareed, second. I take it Councilwoman Jones.
Second, yes.
Yeah. Any discussion?
Yes, Council President.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yes, I don't know if I just didn't receive it, but I think what we wanted to see was a comprehensive plan for that space before we approve portions of it, to make sure that the full layout of the park was conducive to what the vision was intended to be, which originally was a playground space. So while I'm for obviously getting this equipment, I think we're ahead, like putting the cart before the horse by not having a full plan for the entire space. Now, again, I'm not sure if that was sent around and I just didn't see it, or if it hasn't been sent at all. My concern would be that we're approving this and then we find out that this is, like a quarter of the park, which is not what the original intention was in making 7th Street a playground space.
But this is for Martin Luther King.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
And this is from the existing open space grant. Correct if I'm wrong, from Ms. Jones, right?
Then I'm getting confused by where is the one for the 7th Street playground equipment? Is that not the same vendor? The same grant?
No, so I believe the open space grant, and one of the more tenured council members can correct me if I'm wrong, was here before we were even installed as council members. It was for to tear down the existing MLK structure and to put like fitness and playground equipment in place of the building that was torn down. Ms. Jones, did you want to expound on that?
If I'm not mistaken, the Martin Luther King, it was to upgrade the playground equipment that's there, because where the existing structure is there was a thought of putting a gazebo there, or and then another structure the next time we could get monies from any grant or monies that the city may have had.
I'm sorry, but I thought it was the same vendor for the playground equipment at 7th Street Park. I think that's why I'm getting confused.
No, I don't think it's the same vendor. They've got two different resolution for this grant for $30,000 for that. And then they're trying to use, within that resolution, they're trying to use some of the ARPA funds, $142,000 of the ARPA funds to buy into this grant. So I don't think they've really sat down and determined what type of equipment they're going to put at 7th Street Park yet.
Okay, got it.
And I'm sorry, I didn't want to overlook, Ms. Councilman Herring or Councilman Ferguson, do you have anything to add as it relates to the open space grant?
No, I don't have anything.
Other than
And I'll let Ms. Barbara chime in as it relates to the, it's different from the 7th Street space because there is actually a separate grant going for that. Correct, Councilman, correct, City Manager Barbara.
That's correct. We are submitting the grant that's coming up later on in the agenda for the 7th Street Park, the one from DHCD for the Community Legacy grant for 7th Street. And then after we do a site plan, as Councilwoman Fareed had mentioned, which we will do after we bring on the architectural and engineering firm that we're currently evaluating the RFPs for. We'll do the site plan, make a determination on the best location for the playground and the fitness equipment if that's approved by you all, and then move forward with 7th Street.
Okay, thank you, thank you, City Manager Barbara. Any other discussion? I'm sorry, Ms. Reed.
No, that was my bad, my confusion. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other discussion on this resolution R33, 2022? Okay, Council Clerk.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Herring,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
yes,
President Curtis.
Yes,
We have 7. This is passed.
thank you. All right, next up is R34, 2022. A resolution to establish a charter review process. It's Council Clerk.
This is resolution number R34, 2022, introduced by Erica L. Fareed, council member, co-sponsored by Angela D. Ferguson, council vice president. Public hearing Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, session, regular meeting, date of introduction Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. This is a resolution to establish a charter review process. Whereas the city of Glenard, whereas the Glenard City Council has responsibility to ensure that the city charter is reflective of enacted charter amendments, is compatible with the current county, state, and federal law, and is supportive of the needs of the city residents and officials. And whereas the ultimate objective of the city charter is to balance control with organizational and process flexibility and discretion. Whereas it is beneficial for the city charter to be reviewed periodically to ensure consistency and clarity. Whereas a comprehensive review of the city charter is weighty, and it's weighty activity that requires serious consideration and participation from impacted parties. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022, that the following procedures were governed the charter review process. The charter will be reviewed at the end of each annual session to ensure that all legislation enacted in that session has been incorporated. The charter will undergo a comprehensive review, section by section, every 10 years, starting July 2022. The schedule for the charter review will be published by June 30th of the year in which the comprehensive review is due. The charter review shall be completed by December 31st of the year in which the comprehensive review is due. The Charter Review Committee consists of 3 council members, will be responsible for creating the schedule and facilitating the review process. The charter review deliberations will take place during a 2-hour public meeting, separate from the work session and regular meeting. Citizens may provide comments during the last 30 minutes of the meeting. No action is to be taken during the charter review meeting. The Charter Review Committee members are required to attend the charter review meetings. Other council members, the mayor, and the city manager may attend at their discretion. It is recommended that an attorney who is knowledgeable of the charter review and amendment process be present at the charter review meetings. After each charter review meeting, the Charter Review Committee will be responsible to prepare any amendments if necessary. Any charter amendments identified will be presented as charter amendment resolutions at the next work session following the charter review meeting. Further discussion with the public at a public hearing following the work session and voted on at the regular meeting following the public hearing. An exact copy of the charter amendment resolution will be posted at the municipal center in the vestibule outside of the administrative offices for at least 40 days. Any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law must also be performed. An approved charter amendment resolution will become effective 50 days after its passage unless petitioned to referendum, which requires a gathering of 20% of the qualified voters in the city of Glenard. The initial charter review session commencing July 2022 will be advised by Karen P. Ruff, Esquire of Levan Ruff LLC for 5 hours per month, including the 2-hour review meetings at a discounted rate of $200 an hour for a total of 30 hours and $6,000 for the review period to be paid with the American Rescue Plan Act funds. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon approval by the council.
Thank you. Council Clerk, do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Fareed, second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Ferguson. Any discussion?
Yes, Council President. Council Clerk, can you please bring that back up on the screen? And go to point 10. Okay, well, so Council President, after review with Council Vice President Ferguson, we wanted to make sure that this resolution would be applicable even 10 years from now, because as this this resolution points out, it's supposed to be done every 10 years. So we actually want to take out the verbiage that's specific to the current notification process. So what we would like it to say is in point 10, at the end of point 10, where it says at a regular meeting following the public hearing, we want to then put the sentence that's in 11, line 68. Any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law must also be performed. And then we'd be striking line 67 and line 68, where it says an exact copy of the charter amendment resolution will be posted at the municipal center and the vestibule outside of the administrative offices for at least 40 days. And we'd also be striking point 12, an approved charter amendment resolution will become effective 50 days after its passage unless petitioned to referendum, which requires the gathering of 20% of the qualified voters in the city of Glenard. And that's because the sentence that talks about any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law will cover that. We don't know that in 10 years from now, it'll still be 40 days or 50 days, right? It could change based upon what the state law is.
So in summary, you want to strike 11 and 12 and add to 10 any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, and federal law must also be performed.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse-
Councilwoman Jones, I'm sorry. Did you have something to add to that, Ms. Ferguson?
I was thinking take the word also out and have it read, any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law must be performed, or it could say adhere to, but also
Okay.
that doesn't have to be in there.
Okay, Council Clerk, can you keep it up on the screen, please? So
Okay.
you, where, or federal law must be performed. Okay.
You see where the also is, right at the end down 69.
Yeah, so it would just say any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law must be performed.
Performed or adhere to, how, but definitely.
Adhere to.
Favor. Oh, I'm done. I'm finished.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones.
I'm thinking at line 59 at number 9, after each charter review meeting, the charter review committee will be responsible to prepare any amendments if necessary. And put in line number 69 after that, any other public notification requirements stipulated by a local, state, or federal law must also be adhered to.
Okay, that works.
And then all of that in number 10 be taken out, 11 taken out, and 12.
Mhm. So for number 10, where it starts, any charter amendments identified will be presented as charter amendment resolutions at the next work session following the charter review meeting, further discussed with the public at a public hearing following the work session, and voted on at a regular meeting following the public hearing. The intent of that is to keep the sequencing of how things will happen. As we stand right now with our council and our council rules, that's how we do things, where we always have a public hearing for resolutions, and we always bring it to a work session, and we always vote on it at a public hearing, and it's in that sequence. We wanted to keep that in there, so in case another council changes their council rules and maybe they don't have that public hearing, or they don't have it where it has to be brought to a work session before a regular meeting, that we would keep this in the interest of the citizens so that they would know that there would be no chance of a council rushing a charter amendment through, that it would always need to kind of go through these deliberate steps of a work session, a public hearing, and then a regular meeting. Now, granted, another council could go ahead and remove this resolution altogether and make changes there, but this is really intended to be separate from the council rules, so that no matter how kind of the normal business of passing resolutions is done, that for a charter amendment, it will always kind of have this lengthier process.
Council President, may I?
Yes, Councilwoman Jones.
But that's not the sequence, because any charter resolution is required by the state. Section 404, I'm sorry, Section 3, 404 states that we have to, any charter resolution has to be advertised 21 days before it goes to a work session, before it goes, I'm sorry, not a work session, before it goes to a public hearing.
Right, but this is not actually talking about the number of days in between the work session and the public hearing, or the public hearing and the voting. It's just talking about the sequencing of it. So in what you're describing in the current law, right, we could theoretically have the charter review committee prepare that amendment, and then go straight to a public hearing on it 21 days later. We don't have to have a work session where we bring it forth. So that's, again, why we're putting this in there, to make sure that, one, the council, because the Charter Review Committee, it doesn't have to include all of the council members. It's only the Charter Review Committee. So by putting work session in there, it puts the guarantee that the rest of the council members will have an opportunity to discuss it and work through it before it gets to a public hearing and before it then ultimately gets voted on. So again, it's the sequencing, not necessarily the timing. It's just saying that after the Charter Review Committee meets and prepares the amendment, then it goes to the work session with the broader council so that it can be discussed. And then it will go to a public hearing. So under today's law, it would be 21 days after that work session, we would have the public hearing and hear from them. And then after the public hearing, we would vote on it.
Yeah, but I think that whole sentence number, section 10 makes it confusing as to what we already do. Maybe you need to speak to the attorney and get legal sufficiency on that paragraph. Because that, to me, that makes it confusing as to what we've already put, what's already in place on how things are done, the sequence of how things are done.
Would it be helpful to say any charter amendments identified will be presented as charter amendment resolutions at the next work session followed Charter Review Committee? 21 days after the work session or 21 days after it's been publicized or whatever, it'll be brought to a public hearing, and then we voted on at the regular meeting following the public hearing. If we could just put that language in there.
So the reason why this is the same reason why we're taking out the language around the 40 days and the 50 days. If we put language in here around 21 days and the next General Assembly decides 14 days, then we would have to make a change here. So again, that's why this is not referring to the timing between them, but just kind of the order in which the activities would always take place. And this is one, again, for the benefit of the full council, because the Charter Review Committee is only 3 members. The other council members can participate, but they don't have to participate. So that work session allows them to always have an opportunity to hear what's being proposed before it goes to a public hearing. And having that public hearing also is in the best interest of the citizens, because as an example, the Maryland law now is that it has to be publicized 21 days before a public hearing. But prior to 2018, you didn't even need to have, the public hearing was after you already passed it, right? So what we're saying is no matter kind of what happens at the state level, we're always, the city of Glenard is always going to bring it to the work session so that the full council can hear it, bring it to a public hearing to give the citizens an opportunity to speak on it, and then vote on it.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Councilman Harry.
I have to agree with Councilwoman Jones on this one, because if anybody reads this, they're going to think they just got to follow that order of sequences to vote on a piece of legislation for a charter resolution. I mean, you got to have in here somewhere the state requirements so that people will know when we're not here, because I don't know if they're going to change it. They may change it, they may not. I mean, it took them 40 years to change it to add a public hearing to it. It may take them another 40 years to take it out if they decide to take it out. But I doubt very seriously that they will take it out, because usually once they give citizens a right to speak on something, they normally don't reverse themselves on that. But I think that needs to be in there, because right now, if you look at this and somebody's following this after we all leave out, they're gonna be like, okay, well, this is the sequence of events that I have to do. But no, that's not the sequence of events that you have to do. That's the sequence of events that you have to do for our charter requirements. But the state is requiring something completely different, which is 21-day notice and a public hearing at the 21 days. So, I mean, I think that need to be clarified.
Right.
Just one point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's why we were saying to move the piece where it says any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law must be performed. That's why we were saying put that there, because now it says this is the sequencing of it, and then whatever the law is at the time, if it's 21 days for a public notice, then we do that. If it's 14 days, if it's whatever the requirement is for the state or local law at the time that this review is happening, that will determine the time in between each of those kind of milestones.
And I think you need to put the Maryland state law in there for charter resolutions, and I can't remember what it is, but I think that needs to be in there somewhere, where it says follow state law section, subsection, whatever that section is, so that people can refer to that, so that they'll know that they have to do that 21 days and the advertisement of all charter resolutions. I think it needs to be notified. I mean, it should be noted somewhere in this legislation. I'm not sure I can't remember what it is, but also, I guess my thing also is with this piece of legislation is the section where they're allowing public comment at a work session. I think that should not be in there. The public will have 2 chances to speak out on this legislation. One, when we have a public hearing on our own accord, and the required public hearing by the state. So I think that needs to come out. When we do a work session, we need to just do a work session and be done. And not be interrupted with public comment at the end of it. So I mean, that's where I fell on that one. Yeah, because I think you're setting a precedent when you have citizens speaking at a work session. And a lot of times the citizens won't even really be fully aware of what we're actually discussing or what we're trying to do until, especially if we got an attorney present too. So we have an attorney present too, and we're discussing it, and we're going to stop everything we're doing for the last 30 minutes. I mean, you need every minute you have just to discuss the charter, the legislation that you have on the books. I mean, that you have on before you on the agenda. So I just think that needs to come out, and that citizens, again, they get 2 chances at a public hearing, one that we're requiring in our process, and one that the state is requiring in their process, and any time in between there. So that's my feeling on that one. Also, I think number 9 really needs to be changed, because that's a clear violation of our charter, because any council member can bring a charter resolution. Any charter amendments will not only come from the committee, and then if we want to say that, you know, council members should submit their charter resolutions to the committee for us to review and sync it up with the charter, that's one thing. But anybody, any council member can submit a charter resolution at any time without having to go through all this process, because our charter don't require it. So I think that needs to be changed, because again, like I said, that's not something that should be left solely to the committee to decide which amendments come up and which amendments don't come up. They should be able to submit whatever they want to submit, and it should be under consideration, and we should look at that also. So that's another issue. I do have a problem with this attorney, because that really should not even be in this piece of legislation, because you're talking about a process, and that process, if you got the attorney in here, that really should be a separate piece of legislation, because that should fall under professional services, and it should quote that, since we're bringing this attorney on. Also, if we're looking at an attorney, getting another attorney on board, the attorney we have on board could probably do the same thing that this attorney is going to do, and probably won't even charge as much. $200 an hour is a lot. So I think that really needs to be a separate piece of legislation. I think it should be some discussion also amongst the council on that, because it does say the council can bring on legislation. I don't like preferential people put into resolutions when it's all one thing. You're talking about a process, but the process includes a contract. So I think that needs to be a separate resolution. Those are all my issues. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Harry. Any other discussion?
Well, I see Councilwoman Jones' hand up, but I just wanted to clarify point number 9. Can you scroll back up? That doesn't mean that only the Charter Review Committee can bring amendments. I'm not sure what that is being understood. what that's saying is that after the charter review meeting, that it will be those committee members who would be responsible for preparing them, same as basically it was when we were meeting kind of separately and not publicly. And also, you're saying that we would be setting a precedent that citizens will come in at a work session, but the charter review meeting is a committee meeting and it's separate, as in point 6, it's separate from the work session and the regular meeting. So it's a committee meeting where citizens would be allowed to provide comments.
And as I said, more of a reason why they shouldn't, because like I said, if you're only having a 2-hour meeting, that could be drawn out. And in number 9, actually, it isn't clear at all, because my thing is, if I do a charter resolution and I want to submit it, and I could just circumvent this whole process and just have it introduced, because that is my right under the charter. But I think that if you want to run it through the committee first, I think it should say, that in number 9, any council member can submit a charter resolution, and after each charter review meeting, or somehow incorporate that in there.
So let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Are you saying that you think the only way a council member should be able to submit a charter amendment resolution is by going through the charter review committee, or at least having them review it?
No, right now I'm saying that's what you can do, but right now I don't have to do that. There's nothing that requires me to take it through the committee. So I'm just saying, I mean, if you want the process to flow like you need to, then you should have something in here saying, okay, council members can submit, their charter amendments to the charter review committee for review, which we need to do. If we got an attorney on board and they need a review, we can get legal sufficiency and move on. Or they can just submit it like they normally do, and ask to have it at a work session, because that's their right as a council member. They don't have to get our permission to do it.
So that's the part that I'm trying to clarify. Are we wanting to preserve that right for every council member to be able to, because if we are, then I don't think this is stopping from doing that.
I guess my thing is, after each charter review meeting, the charter review committee will be responsible to prepare any amendments. So that means any amendments may be any amendment from any council member. So I mean, my saying is, if a council member brings an amendment, they bring an amendment. So what or do they just got to tell us what they want and we're going to prepare it?
Okay, so maybe I'm missing what you're saying. So when we have the charter review meeting and we're going through, I don't know, section 404, if there are changes based upon the discussion to 404, the charter review committee would prepare those amendments, would prepare the resolution for it, and then present it.
I'm just talking about just in general. If I decide at next month's meeting to bring a charter resolution to amend the charter, what then?
Well, then you can do that. So this establishment of the process is this charter review doesn't take place every year. It doesn't take place every month. This is a once every 10-year kind of comprehensive review process. So it was never intended to say like charter amendments can only be done every 10 years or charter amendments only done by the review committee. The purpose of the review committee is at the top, where it's taken the comprehensive review of the full charter every 10 years.
So that's what this piece of legislation is for, a 10-year review of the charter.
Yeah, so Council Clerk, can you please scroll back up? So, okay. Right, so the charter will be reviewed at the end of each annual session to ensure that all legislation enacted in that session has been incorporated. That's not like the looking at each section. That's just making sure that, okay, we passed these 20 resolutions in this session. Let's make sure they're updated. And that's to address what we've seen over the last year or so, is that when we go to look at the charter, someone says, oh, well, that wasn't codified. It wasn't sent yet. So this is just making sure that we're not getting to an end of an administration and saying, oh, we have this whole stack of resolutions that was supposed to be codified and, updated. The charter undergoing the comprehensive review section by section is every 10 years. That's point 2. So that's looking at the charter from, going from the first section through the last section, looking at it in detail. And that's looking at each section to say, okay, is there any language in here that was very specific? So as an example, if we had in our charter, a public notification has to be 21 days before, but now the Maryland law is 10 days or, 30 days. Now we have to make sure that we update and change that. So it's just kind of looking through and making sure that everything is up to par.
Okay. Okay. So in between, after the review of this chart, after the 10-year review, people start making charter changes for the next 10 years, and then they're going to go through another review.
Well, right. I mean, but charter review changes just by their nature should not be frequent. It's just like the Constitution. Right? We have a Constitution that has not been amended that many times since it was established. So the charter of our city is likened to our Constitution of the United States. We really should not be making changes to the charter, just kind of at will. And that's why the state has requirements for, such rigorous requirements around making any amendments to the charter. Like, is very involved in making sure that they have a say. In terms of the public speaking at these meetings, what we did in crafting this was look at how other municipalities and even how the county is doing their charter review process. The county actually has a committee comprised of citizens that are working through this. So it's not just the county council. So the intention is, because the charter is not just for the use of the council members, but it's also our Constitution for the city, for the citizens to have as much involvement as possible and understanding of what changes are being made. And so that's why there's public comment during the committee meetings, as well as a separate, distinct public hearing, which is required by law.
Like I said, actually, Maryland has one of the most liberal charter amendment processes out there, because no one, the council can do it whenever they want to, however they want to, and all they got to do is wait 50 days. And it's up to the citizen to try to bring it to referendum, which is almost impossible to do. So that actually is, Maryland has a very easy charter amendment process. And it's like that way for a reason, because we work in municipal government and we directly touch the people. And sometimes you got to make a change to address a certain issue in a timely fashion in order to save your city, depending on what you're going through. So it isn't rigorous at all. All you got to do is pass a charter resolution. You can pass it by 4 votes and your charter's changed. So it isn't rigorous at all. It's really fairly easy. It's rigorous on the citizens, though, in order to get them to overturn what we do. That's where the rigorous portion of it come in at. But I'm just saying, I just like I said, I just see it's I just hit those issues, and I'm obviously it seems not to be an issue with that, but I'm just saying I don't think the citizens should have a say at the committee meetings, not like that. And definitely that attorney should be a separate resolution. You don't put contracts in the processes, because that process is being voted on. And you may not want to keep that attorney. And you also didn't quote in there the section of the charter that allows us to appoint another attorney. So that's my feelings. Thanks.
No problem. One other point that I wanted to make about the attorney was that our attorney actually did not want to do this. He didn't feel that he would be the right person to do it. He actually felt that it would be a conflict for him to serve in that capacity. And he was the one that recommended.
But he wouldn't be able to give the time to do it. He's already given his notice, so he wouldn't give. I don't care whether he recommended him or not, because he recommended him. I mean, we got to go with him. So
No, we don't. But I'm just saying that he felt that he didn't have the time before he even put in his. So this was a conversation prior to that. And I think, as we had discussed before, if there were alternative attorneys, that we could explore those, but I don't believe anyone submitted anyone.
all right, thanks.
Councilman Jones.
And I just wanted to piggyback on the attorney issue. The attorney was Attorney Ruff was recommended by Mr. Karpinski because this is what she's versed in doing. She's done this for other municipalities because at this juncture in America, and where we are in life, is now some of the charter resolutions that have been passed in the past are now needing review and needing to be upgraded. So he recommended this attorney because this is what she does, Miss Ruff, Karen Ruff. That's what I wanted to add to this conversation. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so the way I remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Councilwoman Fareed, is that we will nix 11 and 12, point 11 and 12, and at the end of 10, we will add any
sorry.
other pub.
Sorry, order. Can you please bring it back up, Council Clerk? Just for the citizens' benefit of what?
Okay, and can you go down to points 9, 10, 11, 12 in that area? Okay, thank you. As discussed, we are going to, the way I remember it, is to nix 11 and 12, completely remove those, and add to point number 10, any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, and federal law must be adhered to.
Right.
Did I have that correct, Councilwoman Ferguson and Fareed?
Yes, and then on, well, I guess it becomes point 11 now, 13.
Mm-hmm.
We can add a sentence to say the attorney can be changed for each review period. So that,
okay.
Karen's point, so that it doesn't seem like we're locked into this attorney for every single charter review that we do. Council Vice President, I'm sorry, is that what you were saying in your message to me?
Yeah, I basically do agree with Councilman Herring, because this resolution will kind of just put this particular attorney as the person that we will be using, and that might not be the case. Or also the point that he made that it would be a different resolution in itself. Either that, or like I said, put something in there to say that it's subject to change with attorneys and companies.
Mm-hmm. Well, there would definitely need to be another resolution to accept her retainer agreement.
Okay, so I hear two things. So we have the first one set already. One recommendation is instead of at each review session, I would recommend just put in there that the law firm may be changed at the will of the council. So if something is going on during that session and if they're not providing adequate services, then if it's the will of the council, then we could change the lawyer, as opposed to putting it as we can only do it at each review session. If we were to keep this in, I will put it like that. But if we were to take it out as I don't know. It's your resolution. You can say what you want to do with it. Do you want to make this section a different resolution, or do you want to keep this in with the attorney being removed at will?
Um, I'm fine either way. My only thing is that if we take this out of here and have to do a separate resolution, I'm worried about the timing. I'm thinking that we
Oh,
would
okay.
be out until September, and then we have to go through the process of a work session, a regular public hearing, a regular meeting, and then voting it on again, which really wouldn't leave us starting until October.
Okay. Well, Councilwoman Ferguson, are you okay with having that the attorney may be, I don't know, be replaced at the will of the council, or whatever language you guys want to put in?
I'm good with that. But I think, yes, something should be put in there to, that would keep it from just being strictly rough. The other thing was, what was the resolve with 10? Taking that out.
We took,
The whole 10, I mean, about the, which was stressed by Councilwoman Jones and also Councilman Herring, as far as it possibly being confusing. I think I had mentioned that as well. So we're gonna take that out and just put that 69 at the back of 9, or what was the conclusion with that?
It's up to you and Councilwoman Fareed.
I thought I explained it. I thought that was understood.
I mean, I know you explained it, so, but I didn't, you explained it, but I was wondering what was the end result, because it kept going back and forth. So are you saying you want to keep it in there, or you want to take it out?
No, the 10 would be there, and at the end of 10, we would say any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, or federal law must be adhered to.
Okay.
So that way we were not tying ourselves into what the current state legislation is. And that sentence would allow us to flex with the state requirements, local, state, or federal requirements.
Okay, and then 9, I mean, we was going back and forth with that, so if that's gonna stay as is, or,
Yes. Because this is a 10-year review. This is not to indicate that anytime a charter resolution is done, that it has to go through
Mhm.
the charter review committee.
okay, I'm done.
Okay. Council Clerk, so this is to, so you've gone through the motion. We have a second, this discussion. So now we're going to vote with the amended changes. The amended changes is to get rid of 11, get rid of 12, add to 10, any other public notification requirements stipulated by local, state, and federal law must be adhered to. And on point number 13, which will, subsequent to Nixon 11, 12 would become point number 11, would be at the end of it to state that at any time the attorney can be removed at the will of the council, or removed or replaced at the will of the council. With that, we'll bring it up for a vote if there's no other discussion. Okay. Council Clerk, you can stop sharing and go to vote, please.
Councilwoman Jones,
Pass.
Councilman Herring,
I feel again that this need to be some changes made in this. I seriously think that we should be referencing subsection 4-301 in there so that people would know exactly where to go to follow the state procedures. So I'm going to abstain.
Councilman Hairston,
Pass.
Councilman Guillaume,
I want to say yes, and I strongly say yes with the amendments. The amendments have to be included.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Question for Fareed. Did you have any problem with putting the code in there that I sent to you, earlier this week?
No, my only concern with referencing anything is what happens when it changes. That's why I rather say state local law, because but we can put it in. We just would need to know that if that section code changes, that we're gonna have to make a change to this resolution. Again, it's more changes to keep track of when we get so specific like that. That's my only concern.
Okay, I say yes as with the amendments that we have now.
yes, ma'am. President Curtis,
Okay, pass.
Councilwoman Jones, Councilman Hairston,
Did Councilman Jones answer?
No,
no,
I haven't. Pass again.
yes, ma'am. Councilman Hairston,
Hey, I'm still thinking. Pass again.
Okay,
President Curtis,
yes,
your answer is yes.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Do I go
Okay.
back to them again, or are we good? We got our
No,
four?
two passes is a no.
Okay, so we have 4 yes, 1 abstain, 2 pass. This is passed.
Thank you. All right, next up is, I'm sorry, what was that? Was that 34? Yes. Next up is resolution R35 2022, resolution to promote financial literacy among residents of Glenard, introduced by Erica Fareed, council member, co-sponsors Kathleen Guillaume, council member. The public hearing was held on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. And the date of introduction was Tuesday, today, June 21st, 2022. Whereas personal financial literacy is essential to ensuring that individuals are prepared to make informed decisions about financial planning, wealth accumulation, higher education loans, 529 savings plans, managing credit cards and other debt along with budgeting, and whereas many people are ill-equipped to handle major financial decisions in an increasingly complex financial marketplace, and whereas personal financial management skills begin to develop during childhood, and whereas the move away from traditional pensions to defined contribution plans requires more financial education, so workers need to be equipped with the financial aptitude to not only save and accumulate assets, but they need to be prepared to turn those savings into lifetime income. And whereas a recent report from the George Washington University noted the nation's 44 million African Americans account for 13% of the US population and have a significant impact on the economy with 1.2 trillion in purchases annually. Yet the financial well-being of African Americans lags that of US population as a whole, and whites in particular. The reason for these gaps are complex, but one area of importance is addressing them in increased financial literacy. we find that there is a strong link between financial literacy and financial wellness among African Americans, end quote. Whereas many seniors are living on Social Security and modest income sources while grappling with the staggering cost of prescription drugs, healthcare, food, caregiving, and other living expenses. Also, the average life expectancy is longer, and many seniors are at risk of outliving their financial resources. And whereas the U.S. Financial Literacy and Education Commission has noted that the federal, quote, the federal government is not solely responsible for financial capability. State, tribal, and local governments, nonprofit organizations, and the private sector also have an important role in supporting the financial decision-making of the people they serve. These entities often respond to consumer needs more quickly and are able to develop customized and targeted strategies to efficiently deliver financial education and support, end quote. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard in Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June, 2022, that one, the City of Glenard emphasizes the importance of raising awareness of individual financial capability by providing relevant information, financial workshops, and other decision-making tools to residents of all ages. Two, the City of Glenard will partner with reputable organizations such as Zoe and Xander's Guide to Success to deliver workshops and courses for residents of all ages. Three, residents receiving individual grants from the City of Glenard will be required to complete a designated financial literacy course. And four, this resolution will take effect immediately following approval by the council. Is there a motion to bring this to the floor to vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Guillaume, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hairston. Any discussion?
Yes, Council President.
Councilman Harry?
Yeah, on page 2, line 59, where it says the City of Glenard will partner with reputable organizations such as Zoe and Xander's Guide to Success. I think that such as Zoe and Xander's Guide to Success should come out. We should not be putting businesses in the legislation. We can look at them as one of the options, but I don't think, because my thing is I don't know anything about Zoe and Xander's. I don't know if they're the best option for the city, for the citizens or for this program or not. So I just think that should come out. I think it should read the citizens of Glenard, the City of Glenard will partner with reputable organizations to deliver workshops and courses for residents of all ages.
I'm fine with that, Council President.
Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman Freed.
I was saying I'm fine with that.
So I was going to say the same thing.
And so we are going to
Right, the chat.
with
Yeah, so we'll just,
organizations
Mhm.
such as Zoe Gata.
So let's just say the City of
Okay,
Glen will
okay.
partner with reputable organizations to deliver workshops and courses for residents of all ages.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Council Clerk, this vote is to pass this resolution with the amendment for number 2 under now therefore be resolved to read the City of Glenard will partner with reputable organizations to deliver workshops and courses for residents of all ages. Council Clerk.
Woman Jones,
The change is yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes, with amendments.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes, with the changes or amendments.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
Okay. Yeah, I will just go to the next one. The next one up is Resolution R36, 2022. A resolution to establish stormwater management grant rebate program introduced by Erica Fareed, council member, co-sponsor myself, Derek Curtis, and Councilwoman Guillaume. It was introduced at public hearing on May 17th, and the date of introduction was Tuesday, June 21st. Whereas stormwater management is an integral component of Maryland's environmental consciousness, that the state is home to numerous streams of rivers that ultimately drain to Chesapeake Bay, the largest inland estuary in the United States. And whereas when it rains, stormwater washes excess nutrients, chemicals, and dirt from impervious surfaces such as buildings, roads, and parking lots into local waters and the Chesapeake Bay. Excess stormwater runoff can also flood local communities, scour sediments from waterways, and degrade the health of stream systems. And whereas by controlling runoff, mitigating flooding, and preventing pollutants from entering water bodies, effective stormwater system can minimize adverse impacts to communities and the natural environment. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of City of Glenard in Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022, that the City of Glenard will establish the storm water best management practices grant program to provide a rebate to property owners that install stormwater best management practices that help to enhance the water quality of the stormwater runoff and or decrease the amount of stormwater runoff that enters the stormwater drainage system. The total program grant will be $200,000 funded by the American Rescue Plan Act monies. And number 3, with this program, the city will make a rebate reimbursement up to $2,000 for any costs not reimbursed under other similar programs, such as the Prince George's County Rain Check rebate program, to the property owners who meet the requirements of the program. Number 4, work cannot proceed until the applicant has been pre-approved by the city. Number 5, applicants will be received and approved on a rolling basis until September 30th, 2022, or when the allocated grant funding has been exhausted, whichever comes first. Number 6, reimbursement for approved work will be by direct payment to the property owner. The work must have been performed and completed between the dates of July 1st, 2022 and June 30th, 2023 to be eligible for the rebate program. Number 7, qualifying work eligible for funding, bioretention cells, rain gardens. B, permeable pavement. 3, rain barrels. D, stream bank stabilization. And E, soil quality restoration. Number 8, stormwater best management practices shall meet design criteria in the Maryland Stormwater Design Manual. Number 9, stormwater best management practices required of individual property owners for subdivisions and new developments are not eligible for rebate. Number 10, stormwater best management practices for which the property owner seeks reimbursement from other sources of funding are not eligible for rebate. Number 11, After work is completed and by no later than August 31st, 2023, additional documentation will be required, including receipts or itemized contractor's invoice, proof of payment, and project photos. And finally, 12, this resolution shall take effect immediately following approval by the council. With that, is there a motion to bring this resolution to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Guillaume, second.
Second.
Any discussion? I will lead by saying with point number 5 on the now and therefore be resolved. Is that supposed to be September 2023?
Yes.
Okay. Council Clerk, please make note of that. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President. With this plan,
Councilman Harry.
I guess the state was making some changes to the stormwater management plan, and I know it's supposed to be funneling down to the counties, which will probably funnel down to the cities and municipalities. And I would just like to ask, because I know I was speaking with the mayor about it, and I wonder if she can give us a little overview on that, because I wonder if $2,000, I mean, for what they're doing and looking at my tax bill, looking at the tax bills with the stormwater management tax that we're paying now, I mean, that's going to probably increase. So I was wondering if she could give a little bit of oversight on what, because she sat on the meeting about the whole process. And I know, because I'm wondering if $2,000 is going to be enough. I mean, if $200,000 is even going to be enough for what they're getting ready to enact now.
So
Is that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman Fareed.
no, I was just gonna say, so the, whatever has been done recently, I don't know if there's an additional things coming down, but it's been reflected at the county level. So previously the county stormwater management program was $4,000, up to $4,000, and they've increased it to $6,000. So, and that was just in the last couple of months. So with this program, a citizen of Glen Arden would be eligible for up to $8,000. So this $2,000 would be a supplement onto the $6,000. But I don't know if there's anything else. If the mayor is going to add something. I saw her come off mute.
Mayor Cross, do you have anything to add to this discussion?
Yes, thank you
I've
so
lost
much.
her. Oh, there she is. Go ahead.
I'm here. Thank you so much. And thank you for the question and clarity on that, Councilman Fareed, as well as Councilman Herring. So there was some increases that would be available for the continued implementation of stormwater management. And as Councilwoman was saying, 4,000, 6,000, there would only be a few $1,000s more with this current resolution. As it pertains to the contingency fund for the county, if I look at where we are, then we're looking at personnel having upwards for the state at 798, and that was for budget year 2022. And so there would be, looks like a decrease there from previous years. So this resolution would actually support the residents well, based on what the county is now presenting for 23 coming forward.
Thank you.
So, Council President.
Can I finish? Right quick?
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I was going to ask Councilman Herring something. So I'll wait, Councilman Herring. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I just
Sorry,
wanted to ask Councilwoman Fareed or Councilwoman Guillaume, whichever one want to answer the question. So I thought the whole premise of this $2,000 was to pay for something that's not already being covered by the state, or I mean, not already being covered by the county's program.
So Yeah, so it's not to get reimbursed for the same thing. So as an example, if someone was doing a permeable patio and it cost them $10,000 to do, the $6,000 from the county would help, and then the additional $2,000 from the city would help. But if they were doing a permeable pavement patio and it was $5,000, then they would get the $5,000 from the county, and that was it. They would not be eligible to get anything from the city. What we're doing is really trying to supplement, because while the county increased it to 6,000, which is better than 4,000, it's still not enough to cover the cost of materials and increases in labor, inflation, everything that everyone is dealing with. So this additional $2,000 is a supplement to the $6,000. So that $6,000 has to be exhausted first, and then they can get the $2,000.
Okay, it'll supplement any project that has a balance due on it.
Right,
Okay.
right. Or it could be because there's different types of projects, right? So with the county, it's $6,000 in total. So say you wanted to do a permeable pavement, but you also wanted to do a rain garden, and the permeable pavement was, $7,000. So you got that from the city, but you still want to do the rain garden, and you need another $1,000. Then that would be from like the city.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
No,
Sorry, Council, you wanted to add.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to, well, thank you for responding, Councilman Fareed, and Councilwoman Fareed, I apologize. And Councilman Herring, thank you for your question. I just wanted to to ask you a question because I wasn't 100% clear. Councilman Herring, were you saying that the figure that we put in the proposed legislation was too low or too high?
I was thinking it might have been too low because as I understand it, the state is actually getting ready to pass down more stormwater management expenses down to the county. And you see it on your bill, you'll see it on your tax bill as stormwater management, I think that's actually getting ready to increase. So any increases in that, it's gonna be increases in the cost of, stormwater management.
Right.
So I just was wondering.
And for me, so I thank you for that because so I'm just speaking for myself and I'll just keep going. I struggle a lot when I'm thinking about these legislations because I always think that I may be asking for too much out of the pot, if that makes sense, out of the ARPA pot. So hence the 200K for me, so just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and that's Councilwoman Guillaume and I had the same thinking around the $200,000. However, if we were going to increase it, we could pay for it in the same way that the county pays for it. The county pays for it with that stormwater tax. So it's basically like a return on the tax. So if that tax is increasing, and I'm not sure, Councilman Herring, if you're saying there's a county level tax for stormwater and also a city level. But if there's a city level and that's increasing, we can offer that as a rebate to increase this stormwater. But I would suggest if we did that would be like for next year's program. Like I think for the 2022 programming, we could use the $200,000. And if we wanted to continue this program on, because as it says in the legislation, the application period is pretty short. And it's because it's only 200,000. So it's not a long window.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's the state. It used to be that the state covered all stormwater management. Now they no longer cover that. They pass it down to the county, who passes it down to the municipal governments. So that's why you see that new tax on our bills, and the state is actually not gonna pass that cost down even more down to the counties again. So they're gonna roll it down to us.
Right.
So I just was wondering. All right, thank you.
And we can, depending on, what 200 divided by 2,000 is about 100 participants if they get up to the max. If we saw that the program was going well, we could have a resolution to amend the terms. But I believe this is just to get started, so we can start somewhere and not have to wait until the county or state makes their move. We can already get started to help our citizens with some relief.
Yeah, because we have a lot of flooding issues, right? In the city. I know I do. Right. So
Yeah.
It's helpful, I think.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. With that, Council Clerk, I believe the only amendment is that in point number 5, after now therefore be it resolved, that it should be September 30th, 2023 and not 2022.
Point of, Mr. President, one other question I meant to ask with this program. So can a participant come back as many times as they want to, up to 2,000, or can they just apply one time and get that one bite of the apple and be done, no matter what project they're doing?
Sorry, 1 second, because I was like in one train of thought. Council Clerk, can you bring that back up for a second? I'm sorry, Council President, what were you saying about the point to change at the end? Which
point number 5, applications will be received and approved on a rolling basis until September 30th, 2022.
No, that is supposed to be 2022, right there. The
Okay.
end part where you have to submit the stuff, you have until 2020, a year basically, to do that. So this was right. That's why I was saying that application period
Okay.
is short. So you have to apply, right? Because we can't, I mean, if we did it until 2023
Okay.
for the application, right? So it's like the application period is what, July, whenever we approved it, July 1st until September 30th. And then you have until the next year to do it.
Okay. Thank you. My misunderstanding. I apologize.
Okay. Sorry, Councilman.
And,
What was your question?
Oh, do they only get one bite of the apple? Can they one application? They can only submit one application.
No, but it's up to a maximum of $2,000. I mean, I don't know how many applications they can submit for $2,000. It's not a ton of money.
Well, a rain barrel is only $50.
True.
They can buy $2,000 worth of rain barrels and sell them for $100 on eBay.
Well, they have to use the rain. They have to use the stuff when
Okay.
like they can't. And if you feel like we need to put some tighter stipulations around the post process, like what type of, like maybe we send code enforcement around to check or whatever.
Somebody should be checking. Yeah, somebody should be checking that they actually did what they said they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what the county does. And I think in here it says photos. Well, the county right now is only doing photos because of COVID, but I don't know how much longer that's going to last. But yeah, we can put that. I mean, we can put that into the application.
Yeah, you can put it in your criteria.
Yeah, of how, like exactly how it's going to be checked. But yeah,
Right.
no, not for them to be buying and reselling it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So any other discussion? Okay, Council Clerk, my misunderstanding, there's no amendments to this legislation. So the vote will be to pass this legislation as is. All right, Council Clerk.
All right, Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
Okay. Next up is Resolution R 37/2022. A resolution approving the agreement of Good Companies, Inc. for the 3-month provision of trash recycling bulk items pickup. Council Clerk.
Right, resolution number R 37/2022, sponsor Robin Jones, council member, co-sponsor at the request of the administration. Public hearing Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, session, regular session. Date of introduction Tuesday, June 21st, 2002. This is a resolution approving the agreement with Good Companies Incorporated for a 3-month provision of trash recycling and bulk item pickup. Whereas the policy of the city of Whereas it is the policy of the city of Glenard that contracting agencies shall make every effort to construct public improvements at the least cost to the contracting agency. And whereas it is policy of the city of Glenard to maximize the efficient use of public resources and the purchasing power of public funds. And whereas the city of Glenard Charter Section 826 allows for emergency solicitation to be exempt from the bidding requirements. And whereas it is still the de jure responsibility of the council to assure that the best cost available is given to the city for goods and services. And whereas it is an agreement with Good Companies Incorporated for the provision of trash recycling and bulk item pickups. And whereas the agreement expired on May 1st, 2022, and is now an emergency to enter into another agreement with Good Company Incorporated for further provision of services to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Glenard. And whereas the council expressly declares and determines that the failure to enter into an agreement with Good Companies Incorporated for the provision of trash, recycling, and bulk item pickup would adversely impact the health, safety, welfare of the citizens of Glenard, and therefore an emergency situation exists for the passage of this resolution. And whereas the Goody Company has submitted a 3-month agreement with the proposed cost of $22 for 1,975 households in the city of Glenard for the total cost per month of $53,325. And whereas it is the intention of the council of the city of Glenard to approve this agreement with Goody Companies for the time stated on the agreement. Now therefore be it resolved by the city of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June, 2022, that number one, the agreement referenced and attached here to as Appendix A is accepted and is subjected to contractor's warranty and other obligations pursuant to the original 2018 contract. Number two, that the mayor or city or council president is hereby authorized by the city council to enter into a contract for the project as expeditiously as practicable. Number three, that the source of funds is 1075, 10, 7230 contracts and trash, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Sorry. Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
any discussion? Okay. Council Clerk.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Herring,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
All right. Next up. So I'm going to read through these next 3 resolutions and then bring a motion to bring them all to the floor for um, a vote and discussion. So we don't have to do 1, 2, and 3 since they all relate to the same thing. Anybody
Council
opposed to that?
President? Sorry,
Councilman Guillaume,
I just want to say I'd like to co-sponsor if that's possible.
sponsor. Oh, 38, 39,
Correct.
38, 39, and 40. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any opposition for me just reading these 3 and then bringing them all to the floor for vote and discussion?
Are they gonna be voted for on individually or as a group?
They'll be all voted on individually, just avoiding the whole reading motion discussion for each one. There will be, each one will have its own vote.
Okay, okay.
Okay. All right. So I will bring this up then. This is 38, 39, and 40. Please bear with me as I read these. All right, R38, 2022, a resolution to approve the appointment of Terrell Clay to the City of Glenard Housing Authority Commission, introduced by Derek Curtis, Council President, at the request of administration. Public hearing was held on Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, introduced to, today, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. Whereas the City of Glenard established the Glenard Housing Authority through the adoption of Articles of Organization in Resolution number 8-64, April 7, 1964, which authorized the execution of a cooperative agreement between the Glenard Housing Authority, GHA, and the town of Glenard, therefore known as the City of Glenard. And whereas the City of Glenard and the Glenard Housing Authority entered into a cooperative agreement on April 13th, 1964, which agreement has been amended from time to time and continues in effect. And whereas the mayor is authorized to appoint commissioners to the Housing Authority with approval of the City Council. And whereas the mayor has appointed Terrell Clay to the Housing Authority Commission, and whereas the council has determined that the appointment of Terrell Clay to the Housing Authority Commission should be approved, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022 as follows. The appointment of Terrell Clay to the Glenard Housing Authority Commission for a term of 5 years is hereby approved. And number 2, this resolution takes effect immediately upon adoption. R39, 2022, a resolution to approve the appointment of Daryl W. Fields to the Glenard Housing Authority Commission, introduced by Derek Curtis II, Council President, co-sponsor at the request of the administration. Public hearing Tuesday, June 14, 2022. Date of introduction, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. Whereas the City of Glenard established the Glenard Housing Authority through the adoption of Articles of Organization.
Council President.
Yeah.
Since, Council President,
Yes, sir.
since the wording is exactly the same, I think all you gotta do is read the title for the next 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better.
And,
also-
and Council
Council
President,
President, also you are forgetting to mention Councilwoman Guillaume as
Yeah.
co-sponsor.
I apologize, Councilwoman Guillaume.
no problem.
R38 is co-sponsored by Councilwoman Guillaume, as well as R39 and R40. And so I'll just read since all of them are the same, I'll just read the title for 39 and 40. Or just the top part. R39, 2022, introduced by Derek Curtis, Council President, co-sponsored at the request of administration, and Councilman Guillaume. It was public hearing Tuesday, June 14, 2022. The date of introduction is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. A resolution to approve the appointment of Daryl Fields to the Glenard Housing Authority Commission. And resolution number R40, 2022, introduced by Derek Curtis, Council President, co-sponsor at the request of the administration, and by Councilwoman Guillaume. A public hearing was held on Tuesday, June 14, 2022, and date introduction was Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, which is a resolution to approve the appointment of Dina Price to the Glenard Housing Authority Commission. Thank you, Councilman Herring. Do I have a motion to bring these three resolutions to the floor for a vote
So moved.
individually? Do I have a
So
second?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the three? Again, we'll still vote it individually, but we'll start any discussion. Let's take it one by one then. Any discussion on Jarrell Clay?
Well, I do have a discussion on the three because ordinance 023/2005 requires that the terms be staggered. So we got to figure out how these terms are going to be staggered, because right now we have Jermaine Hodges, his term expires in 2022, in October 2022. And we have Mr. Scales, Lonnie Scales, his expires in 2024. So we got to fill 2023, 2025, and 2026. So we got to determine which term each one of those are going to have.
I'm sorry, the ordinance requires it to be staggered?
It requires the other terms to be staggered. Yeah.
So how about, so Councilman Herring, how about, well, I'm sorry, Council President. How
Councilman
about
Gill?
the, and I'm fine with staggering, I just had a question. How about the 5-year term part, that aspect of it? So if we have somebody coming in today, 2022, there's 2027, right? That's the one that you're saying?
Well, actually, what it is that you have to have somebody in over the next 5 years. You got to have somebody drop off every year from 2022 to 2022 to 2026. Somebody has to drop off every year. So nobody's going to get a full 5-year term except for the last person that comes in 2020 that expires in 2020. Well, they only getting 4. That expires in 2026. So yeah, so Jermaine Hodges will be dropping off this year. So the next person that will fill his position will be the next full 5-year term, which will be 2027.
What ordinance is this?
Ordinance 2005. It's in your packet. 023/2005. And the state requires staggering too. Originally, when it was originally set up, it was staggered. And it's been staggered ever since. And it says the 5-year terms of the 5 commissioners will be staggered terms. So it's 023/2005. And that's when we restated the rules and regulations for the housing authority because they were so old. I think last time they did them was in 2000. It was in I think it was 1963.
Mm-hmm.
And so the state requires staggering. They want somebody to drop off every year.
Just a quick question. So how does that relate to they can serve until somebody's replaced? Because it hasn't been staggered. It's been at the very least, Mr. Walker and Ms. Jackson has been there forever. So it says that they can stay on until replaced. So how does?
But it's still even if they stay on, it still has to be staggered. They have to drop off eventually, and whatever term they're in is the term that will be filled. So if they just, let's say they finish that 5-year term and they roll over into a new term, when they're replaced, and they serve a year, the replacement will only get 4 years versus the 5.
That's fine. We can just have 1 at 5, 1 at 4, 1 at 3. Are you okay with that, Councilwoman Gill?
Before I respond, I see Council Vice President is
I'm sorry.
waving her hand. And I'm sorry, for me, I'm pausing for a second because I'm trying to look for the ordinance, Councilman Herring. So sorry about that, Council President. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Council Vice President. I'm sorry.
Council Vice.
Well, couldn't they, okay, you have 22, Jermaine is going to drop off, and then Scales at 24. Can we do 25, 26, and 27?
No, you got to fill 23.
Why?
Remember, because you got to have somebody got to drop off every year. So you got to have a term. You got to have somebody that's going to come in that's going to drop off in 23. You got to have somebody that's going to drop off in 25. You got to have somebody drop off in 26. So you're supposed to have somebody every year drop off. So you can't, because you'll be skipping a gap. You'll be creating a gap in the staggering. So every year you're supposed to have someone drop off. So you got to fill the terms that haven't been filled because they haven't been filled correctly. And so, and because also people also have dropped off and resigned. So you're really just filling, you're filling the positions of their term versus just giving them a straight 5 years.
Well, that, to me, that's to be written. That's not, that doesn't sound like it says that, but.
Yeah, it says they
Yeah,
have to be
could you,
staggered. Mhm.
and
Can
you
someone
said this
share the
ordinance
screen?
is where?
It was in a packet that Ms. Ferguson had, the clerk sent everybody.
Ms.
Ms.
Madam Clerk,
Ferguson,
do you have this?
Housing Authority.
Do you have this ordinance?
Let's see.
Council Clerk.
Just give me 1 second, please.
And the state requires it also. So this is, it's not just a city mandate, it's a state mandate.
Do you have the verbiage from the state?
And it should be in that packet also. I sent it to everyone. And Ms. Council Vice President Ferguson had it actually printed out for everyone and put it in their mailbox. Let's see.
Sorry, I'm on my laptop. It's going to take me a second to get to it because I don't currently have it right here.
Yes.
And you say you just emailed it? Councilman Harry?
I'm looking for it right now.
Let's see.
I think it's on 5/19/2022, Council Clerk. I think I'm doing a search right now.
Yeah. I got it's 02/2022. See it in here.
Okay, Council Clerk, I just emailed it to you.
Oh, here we go. Is it the Housing Authority info PDF?
Yeah.
Okay. And what page are you on, Councilman Harry?
Oh, yeah.
It's like I think it's page 3. I think it's page, let's see. Page, I'm sorry, not page 3. It's page, I think it's page 8. Nope.
Yeah.
Send it the right one. Let's send this one out.
Okay, so it says 5-year terms, and then it says it
Yeah.
should be staggered. The 5-year terms of the commission shall be staggered.
Okay. The Glenard housing shall be composed of 5 commissioners. Yeah. So I see it says staggered. I don't, unless you could point it out, Councilman Harry, I don't see where it says that someone has to fall off on 23.
Okay, you can't stagger it unless somebody staggers. And like I said, the original legislation actually has the way that each person would come on board, and it was 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. Now, you put anybody on it can be challenged with the state because it is a state requirement to stagger them and have somebody drop off every year, because you don't see it. I mean, you know what stagger means. Stagger don't mean somebody drop off every 2 or 3 years. It means somebody drops off every year. You have somebody that's going to be on there 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. That's staggering.
I understand, but that'll defeat the purpose of what's already been done, that they can serve until they're replaced.
But when they replace, they got to be replaced for the term that they're in, not not a new 5-year term. No matter what you do, they still have to be staggered. You feel, I mean, even some of the council members, I mean, even some of the commissioners that came on last time, we staggered them.
So,
Okay.
I know for me, I was a staggered person on Glen Arden Housing Authority. When I say staggered, I completed somebody's term.
Right.
But so that I understand, because that person had an unexpired term at the time. They had like 2 or 4 years left on their term or something like that. Now, when someone has been on the housing authority for 12 years, I'm fictitious number here, I'm throwing out here, for 12 years. So there is no term that you're basically finishing up. You're just replacing that particular commissioner whose term had expired. So that's where I think the confusion is, because they're not finishing up a term, they're replacing somebody's term who had already been expired.
And the thing about it is that even though they roll into somebody else's term, that term still would only be a 5-year term, because the terms are that required to be 5 years. And if the staggering stayed in place, when they were taken off, they would finish out whatever term they're in. So, I mean, it's a 5-year term no matter what. So people should be able to, I mean, people should not have stayed on there that long, but if they wanted to reappoint them in their term, they could have, they would be in that same term, but the staggering has to take place. I mean,
So I understand that, and we could switch, if nobody's opposed to it, we switch it to 5, 4, and 3. With the whole 2023 issue, Mr. Germain is slated to come off in October. We could just appoint somebody in 2023 that'll resolve that issue. Since they can stay on until they're replaced, well, we'll just replace them in 2023, and therefore you have your new person in 2023 to replace Mr. Hodges.
So you're going to run it with 4 people? I thought y'all wanted 5.
No, it'll be 5.
Who's going to be the 5th?
Jermaine Hodges.
Okay. So you're going to appoint somebody for the 2023 and 2025 and 2026.
I'm getting confused with the 2025,
I think
2026, but that's, yes.
I think that's what he's saying, Councilman Herring. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say he. I think that's what Council President is saying. If the current commissioner whose term is due to expire stays an additional year till 23, then, and they leave in 23, there goes that leaving period of 23. So you have a new person in 23. You have somebody leaving in 24, so that's a new person in 24. You have somebody leaving in 25, that's a new person in 25. You have somebody leaving in 26. Is that what you were saying, Council President?
Yes, because Mr. Germain, his term expires in October, so it's pretty much filling the gap of the rest of October, November, December. We can appoint someone in January of 2023, so it looks like all of our bases are covered. We have the staggered terms, and we can appoint someone in 23. Councilwoman Ferguson.
Okay, I think I'm confused. Okay, so just say the person, okay, we appoint someone today, and their term is over in 25. That's like 3 years. But the resolution is saying that they have a 5-year term.
You'd have to change it to end their term
Yeah.
when it's supposed to end. Because it may be a
Yeah.
year.
If
Yeah,
you do-
so we'll just amend 2 of these resolutions. One will be 4-year term, one will be a 3-year term.
But I thought the document said that it was supposed to be a 5-year term.
Either way, nothing adds up. If the system just needs to be fixed, because if you're saying that they could stay on until they're replaced, then nothing is staggered.
It is if you keep track of the dates, and that's what we haven't been doing, and that's the problem.
Understand what I'm saying is somewhere we're going.
Go ahead.
Somewhere we're going to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, Councilman Herring. Just somewhere we're going to be hit. And we're not going to be able to resolve all these issues tonight because of how long people have stayed on. So the best thing we can do is stagger the ones we have in accordance with the ordinance that was passed, and then replace Hodges in 23.
I mean, I understand what you're saying in terms of, I'm not even considering, concerned about the people that's been on there for 90 years. I'm saying that if we're going to stagger the way we are suggesting, or it's being suggested, I'm all for replacing and getting the, new people there, but there's no way I'm gonna sign this. I'll say yes to a resolution that, saying 5 years. I mean, it's actually specifically saying for a term of 5 years, yet we only given 3 years. Either this is gonna change to accommodate the 3-year, the 2-year, the 5-year, or I'm just gonna have to abstain. But
Which is what it should do.
But I'm just saying, so something's gonna have to give. And also, is there any possible way that just maybe we can talk to the one of the sitting commissioners now, Mr. Scales?
If there no, then
No? Okay.
I don't mind if there are no real
If he on this-
objections.
But I don't even know if he's on this call this evening. Well,
He is. It looks like he is.
On if I'm able to speak.
Go ahead, Commissioner Scales.
So I think just based off of what it's saying, any incoming commissioner has 5 years. Clearly, there's no point to point the finger to blame, anyone of why we allow, certain people to stay on, or why the vacant commissioner spot has been vacant, for so long. But as far as anyone coming in that you all say yes to, I feel like they all should get 5 years. Whether you do 5 years for the first one, 6 years for the second one, and 7 years for the third one, to allow them to come off the right time. That makes it a little bit, I guess, to me, fair that they're not serving a 3-year term to really have an impact on what things that needs to happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Scales.
President,
Councilman Harry.
it really doesn't matter how we feel, is what the state says and what our ordinance says. And again, if it's staggered, it's staggered. So somebody's going to only get 3 years, somebody's going to get 2 years. This is not to say they can't be reappointed. I mean, you're still going to serve you're going to serve some time. Right now, we're just trying to get people on here, and we want to be in line with the state law. The state law requires staggered terms, and our ordinance requires staggered terms. So you need to stagger the terms as they're supposed to be staggered when it was originally conceived. When it was originally conceived, they appointed somebody for 1 year. They appointed somebody for 2 years. They appointed somebody for 3 years. They appointed somebody for 4 years. They appointed somebody for 5 years. That shows you how the staggered terms were initially set up in 1963. And that's what you got to follow. And that's what the state
Councilwoman Ferguson.
Again, I understand what staggered means. Staggered is I mean, it's not simultaneous. I mean, that people, they do fall off, but what it's saying is, it is saying staggering, but it's also saying in both the document that we just read and what's before us, 5 years. So how can we get around both of those? Because if we're
Yeah.
gonna adhere to one thing, staggering, and then not to 5 years, you know, I don't.
Okay. So, you know, to avoid prolonging this, and like I said, we're not going to resolve violating this, at least one section of this tonight. So let's just keep it at the 5 years. You can vote yay or nay. We'll keep it as is, and we'll just go to an up and down vote whether you're going to approve these appointments or not. So any other discussions? Okay. So with that, I already had a motion to bring forward. This is discussion. All right, first up is R 38, 2022, a resolution to approve the appointment of Terrell Clay to the Glenard Housing Authority Commission as advertised for the 5 years. Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Council Clerk.
Sure. Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Unfortunately, I prefer to follow state law. What the state says is law, and I don't want to be challenged on it. So I abstain from this vote because basically staggered is what it is, and people want to make up what they want to make up, may be challenged. So abstain.
yes, sir. Councilman Harrison,
We didn't hear you, Councilman Harrison.
I'll come back. Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes,
President Curtis,
Yes. And
and
Mr.
thank you.
Harrison is yes. All right.
We have 6 this pass.
Thank you. Resolution R 39, 2022, a resolution to approve the appointment of Daryl Fields to the Glen Arden Housing Authority Commission. Council Clerk. I'm sorry. So the first resolution R 38 was to fill the vacancy. This one will to be replaced Ms. Jackson as commissioner.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Again, the state law requires it to be staggered. I'm not going to violate state law by voting for something that is illegal. So I abstain again.
yes, sir. Councilman Hairston, Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
yes,
President Curtis.
Yes. And Councilman Harrison, I don't know why we can't hear you, but if you could just type.
Oh,
Oh, I heard
can you
something.
hear me or no?
Oh,
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, my bad. Yes.
Thank you. So we have 6 yes, 1 abstain. This is passed.
Okay, and the last one is Resolution R 40, 2022, a resolution to approve the appointment of Dina Price to the Glenard Housing Authority Commissioner. She will replace Commissioner Walker. Council Clerk.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Again, I'm not going to violate state law or city law when it says it should be staggered. So I abstain from this vote.
yes, sir. Councilman Hairston, Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
yes,
President Curtis,
Yes.
and one more time, Councilman Hairston.
He said
Yes, got him
in
in the chat. Thank you so much. We have 6 yes and 1 abstain. This is passed.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I make one point? I'd like to ask one, that the ordinance, 2005 ordinance along with these 3 pieces of legislation be sent to the attorney for also a legal opinion on that. Thanks.
Okay. Council Clerk, R42. Actually, let me just lump these together. Do I have a motion to bring what's this? I'm sorry. R42 2022, a resolution to select council president, and R43 22, a resolution to select the vice president to the floor. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Before discussion, I'll just read through them real quickly. R42 2022, introduced by City Council Glenard. Public hearing was held on June 14, 2022. Date of introduction is today, June 21st, 2021. A resolution to select the City Council President. The Glenard, whereas this is Glenard City Charter, Section 305, a president calls for a president to be selected from the council members during the organizational meeting, and whereas the president of the council shall preside over all the meetings of the council and shall perform other duties as specified by the council by resolution. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session is 21st day of June 2022. As follows: City Council Member Derek D. Curtis II is hereby approved as the President of the Glenard City Council for a period of 1 year from the effective date of said resolution. And two, this resolution shall take effect upon adoption. And our 43 2022, introduced by City Council Glenard. Public hearings was held on Tuesday, June 14, 2022. Date of introduction as today, June 21st, 2022. A resolution to select the City Council Vice President. Whereas the City of Glenard, Section 305, Vice President calls for a Vice President to be selected from a council member during the organizational meetings. And whereas the Vice President of the council shall execute the duties of the President in absence of the President. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022 as follows: the City Council Member Angela D. Ferguson is hereby approved as the Vice President of the Glenard City Council, period of 1 year from the effective date of said resolution. And two, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. Any discussion on two resolutions? No. Council Clerk, the vote on resolution R 42 2022.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston, Councilwoman Guillaume.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes.
And I have Councilman Hairston in the chat. We have 7. This is passed.
Thank you. R 43, please.
Councilwoman
43,
Jones.
2022.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston, Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis,
Yes.
and Councilman Hairston
Did I catch my vote or no?
Oh, I got it. Thank you. We have 7. This is passed.
All right. Next up, Council Clerk R44, 2022. Is that 44? Yeah, that's 43. So R44, 2022. Council Clerk.
Yes, sir. Resolution number R44, 2022, introduced by Robin Jones, council member, co-sponsor, the City Council of Glenard. Public hearing Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Session, regular session. Date of introduction Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. This is a resolution authorizing the City Council of Glenard, Maryland to break for recess. Whereas pursuant to Section 304A of the city charter, the council is authorized to counsel regularly scheduled meetings in the months of July and August, which have customarily been reserved for the city council recess. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June, 2022 as follows. The City Council of Glenard does hereby counsel regular meetings for the months of July and August 2022, during which time it will be in recess, and special meetings shall be called by the clerk of the council upon the request of the mayor, the president of the council, or a majority of the members of the council, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Thank you. I can have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote.
So moved.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Jones?
Yes.
Councilman Harry?
Yes.
Councilman Hairston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson?
Yes.
President Curtis?
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
Okay, thank you. What's next up? 45. All right. Council Clerk, could you do 45 as well, please?
Resolution number R45, 2022, introduced by Derek D. Curtis II, Council President, co-sponsored at the request of the administration. Public hearing Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Session, regular session. Date of introduction Tuesday, June 22nd, 2022. This is a resolution to approve a contract with Still Beach Production LLC for videotaping, broadcasting, and post-production services. Whereas the city wishes to hire an independent contractor to provide the city of Glenard with videotaping, post-production, and related services, and whereas Still Beach Productions LLC is willing to provide such services, and whereas city staff has negotiated a contract with Still Beach Productions LLC, a copy of which is attached as Exhibit A. And whereas pursuant to the contract, Still Beach Production LLC will provide broadcasting, post-production services for the city council meetings at a set price no greater than $17.50 per month. Still Beach Productions LLC will provide other filming services outside of city council meetings for a set price no greater than $900 per month, as well as provide overall maintenance and upkeep of the cable station at a set price of $40 per hour, not to exceed $5,000 for the duration of the contract term. Whereas the council has determined that it is in the public interest of the consultant agreement with Still Beach Productions LLC to, in substantiality in the form as attached be approved, that the mayor or council president be authorized to sign on behalf of the city. And whereas the council has determined that the contract shall be awarded under section 825 of the charter, notice inviting potential consultants to submit proposals have been given in at least one newspaper of general circulation in the city for at least 5 days prior to the awarding of the contract. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of Glenard in Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022 as follows. The consultant agreement in substantiality, the form as attached as Exhibit A, B, and is hereby approved. The mayor or council president be and is authorized to sign the consultant agreement in substantiality, the form as attached. Payment for services shall be taken from the cable budget professional service line item 10-15-15 7130. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Second? I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing no discussion. Council Clerk?
Councilwoman Jones,
Pass for a minute.
okay. Councilman Herring,
Abstain.
Councilman Hairston,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Pass.
Vice President Ferguson,
Abstain.
President Curtis.
Pass for a second.
Councilwoman Jones,
Abstain. I see something in here that there was a question that was never answered. So abstain.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Abstain.
President Curtis.
I'll say yes.
Okay. We have 1 yes, 6 abstain. This is failed.
Next up is R46. I have these ready. R46 2022. Ready? Thank you. Introduced by Derek Dicker, second council president, co-sponsored requested administration, public hearing, Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. Date of introduction is today, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. A resolution for the city of Glenard to approve the application and receipt of financing for a community legacy state revitalization program through the Department of Housing and Community Development. Whereas the city of Glenard recognizes that there is a significant need for reinvestment and revitalization of the communities in Prince George's County, and whereas the department, either through community legacy neighborhood intervention, strategic demolition fund, Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiative, or through other programs of the department, or in cooperation with other state departments or agencies may provide some or all of the financing for the project in order to assist in making it financially feasible. And whereas the project is located within a priority funding area under Section 5-7B-02 of the Smart Growth Act, and the project will conform to the local zoning code. And whereas the applicable law and regulations require approval of the project and the project financing by the city of Glenard where appropriate by the chief elected executive official of the local subdivision. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session on this 21st day of June 2022, that the City of Glenard hereby endorses the project in the sustainable community area and hereby approve the request for financial assistance in the form of a grant for playground equipment at the 7th Street Park up to the amount of $240,000. And be it further resolved that the chief elected executive official be and is hereby requested to endorse this resolution, thereby indicating his approval thereof. And sorry, lost my place. And, oh, thank you. Be it further resolved that the council president is hereby authorized to execute documents and take any action necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution are sent to the Secretary of the Department of Housing and Community Development of the state of Maryland, and that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage by the council. Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'm sorry, I just heard. Okay, so I
Well,
see
I-
Councilwoman Guillaume's hand.
Right, and I saw Councilwoman Jones unmute herself before I did. So Councilwoman Jones, you
Okay.
can go first and I'll follow.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councilwoman Jones, I didn't see your hand.
It says, can you put the resolution back up, please? Scroll down just a little. Okay, stop. Line 30, let's start with line, the city of Glenard, line 32, hereby endorses the project in the sustainable community area and hereby approves the request for financial assistance. Now, this isn't a loan, isn't it? Is it?
No, this is a grant. I'm
In the
sorry. Go
form of
ahead.
a grant. Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. Councilwoman Guillaume?
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to make sure I'm not mixing up. I feel like Councilwoman Fareed earlier, so I want to make sure I'm not mixing up certain legislations or projects. So is this the particular project where, and I can't pull it up right now, where it was referenced that we would have to give DHCD a certain amount of funds also? Is this the one, or is this something else?
This is something else.
Okay.
City Manager Barber, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. So this is strictly a grant. There is no matching portion to it. We are eligible for this because we are part of the sustainable communities through the Department of Housing and Community Development that you all applied for a number of years ago and had that designation for 5 years. And that allows you access to a pool of money that was mentioned earlier in the resolution.
Got it. Thank you so much, City Manager Barber and Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yeah, so I'm back to the comments that I had initially. So I think that what is not entirely clear to me is what the full plan for 7th Street is in all, because we've been doing this kind of in pieces of legislation. And I'm not sure if we have a gap in funding need or if this grant and I forgot what it was, the other one that has the council president help me out, the
One for Martin Luther
low,
King?
I think it's called the low impact equipment.
Yeah, wellness
Those
equipment.
two together, how much is that? Like, do we have enough? I'm afraid that we're gonna approve these things in piecemeal, but then ultimately never get to do anything because we don't have enough. Like, I don't know if 240,000 is enough for the playground, or if we need like $1 million for I don't know.
Right, so the amount of the grant, the 240,000, is predicated on what I have been talking with the playground equipment individual companies with, that something like what is at Martin Luther King Jr. Park, it currently would cost to install at the 7th Street Park. So that's where the $240,000 comes from. Now, certainly we can ask for more, but I don't know. I don't know how feasible that is when you go out to bid. I don't know. It may be enough. It may not be enough. That was just a figure that I have been talking with the companies, and that is what something like what is exactly over at Martin Luther King Jr. would cost to put over at 7th Street in an estimation. You never know what it's going to be until you put it out to bid.
No, and that's fair. And so that's the point I was making around the size of it. Like when I think about what's over at MLK and then putting that over at 7th Street, that's to me a small playground. So if we were looking at a bigger playground, I would think we would need more money than this. So that's why I think we need kind of that plan of like where the low impact equipment is going to be, where the playground equipment is going to be.
Right, and I understand that. The only problem with that is, like I said earlier, we are trying to award that architectural and engineering firm contract soon, so that we can get a site plan done for the park, so that you can see based on what the constrictions are with the tree that's over there, with the way that the land slopes and things like that, what you could expect to get on that parcel. That should be the number one thing that should be done. But in conjunction, I was tasked with applying for grants, and there are grant deadlines that I have to meet. So they are not necessarily concurrent. So I'm trying to shoot at a moving target here with one and the other. So, you know, I have to meet the deadline for applying for the grant. And just like I found out at MML that I was going to apply for the Project Open Space grant for 7th Street. But what I was told is that because we currently have the Project Open Space grant for the MLK Park, that likely won't get funded until that one is closed. So that kind of put a nix on that project, although I'm still waiting to talk with someone from DNR about whether or not I should apply for it, or if it's definitely a no-go because we still have that money that we haven't spent from DNR.
Thank you, City Manager Barber.
Okay, I got it. So, I mean, I'm definitely in support of this. I'm just afraid that it won't be enough. And I don't even know like how much more money we have left in ARPA, because we have so many kind of resolutions, using ARPA money to supplement. And what is your the one that you have out to bid for the architectural for the site plan? When do you expect to get that back? Is it possible to get that back before we have to apply for this?
So we already have the proposals back. The staff is reviewing them, and we are expected to bring to you all soon a recommendation based on the criteria of evaluating those firms. So it would just be, I guess we would probably need to have a meeting if you all wanted to get it done before September. We would have to have a special meeting for you all to approve the contract for the A&E firm.
Okay, one last question. If we apply for this and find that we actually need more, can we apply for more, or can we apply for something else?
You could apply for something else. It's just whether I'm not sure how the DHCD grant process works when they award the contract, but with Project Open Space, you don't get the award until almost like 8 months after you apply for the grant. So I'm not sure how quick DHCD is in turning around their awards after you apply for the grant. That's one thing I do have to check on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Did I miss anybody else for this discussion? Okay, Council Clerk, vote to approve resolution.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed.
All right. Next up, almost done. That was 46. We could bunch the next two together. Our 47, 2022 resolution appointing Paul Michael Braxton to the Ethics Commission, and our 48, 2022 resolution appointing Yvonne B. White to the Ethics Commission. I'll bunch these two together. Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. I'll read these. Okay. R 47, 2022, introduced by Derek Curtis, second council president at the request of administration. Public hearing was held on Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. And the date of introduction is Tuesday, today, June 21st, 2022. A resolution appointing Paul Michael Braxton to the Ethics Commission. Whereas according to the Glenard Code, there may be a City of Glenard Ethics Commission, which shall be composed of members appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. And whereas the mayor wishes to appoint Paul Michael Braxton to the Ethics Commission, and whereas the commission will serve to make a more effective and efficient form of city government, whereas the commission is a public body and must comply with the Maryland Open Meetings Act, and whereas the Ethics Commission bylaws attached hereto as Exhibit A have been adopted by the City Council under Resolution R 135/2012 on May 14th, 2012. Whereas the commission shall be advised by the city attorney and shall have responsibilities including but not limited to the following: devise, receive, and maintain all forms required by Chapter 16 Ethics of the City Code. Number 2, develop procedures and policies for advisory opinion requests and provide published advisory opinions to persons subject to this chapter regarding the applicability of the provisions of ethics code to them. Number 3, develop procedures and policies for the processing of complaints and to make appropriate determinations regarding complaints filed by any persons alleging violations of the ethics code. And 4, conduct a public information program regarding the purposes of application of the ethics code. Number 5, determine if changes to the ethics code are required to be in compliance with the requirements of the state government article title 15, subtitle 8, annotated code of Maryland, and shall forward any recommended changes and amendments to the city council for enactment. And number 6, adopt other policies and procedures to assist in the implementation of the commission's programs established in Chapter 16 of the code. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022 as follows. Paul Michael Braxton B. and is hereby approved as an appointment to the City of Glenard Ethics Commission. 2, the term of office shall be 2 years, June 21st, 2022 through June 23rd, 2024. And 3, this resolution shall take effective immediately following the approval of the council. And since resolution R 48 2022 reads the same, I'll just read the introduction. Resolution R 48 2022 introduced by Derek Curtis, second council president, co-sponsor at the request of administration. The public hearing was on Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, and the date of introduction is today, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, a resolution appointing Yvonne B. White to the Ethics Commission. Any discussion on the two? Okay, with that.
I have
First-
discussion. I have a question.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I have my hand up. I didn't raise my computer hand. Okay. For the appointment of Yvonne White, it's been brought to my attention, and I don't know whether it's an issue or not, but I just want to bring it up because citizens have brought it to me. They indicate that Ms. White does not live in the city of Glenard. She owns property. Now, as a commissioner or on any committee for the city of Glenard, is it required to live in the city of Glenard to reside?
I don't know.
Mr. President,
Councilman Harry?
Ms. White lives over in Forest, in a townhome right over there in Forest, in the city of Glenard. She lives in the city of Glenard. I know exactly where she lives, right over there in Forest. I think on Moose Bush or something.
Yeah, I know where the house is too, but she owns the property, yes. I'm not saying that she does not own the property, but to physically live in the city of Glenard was the question.
She lives there.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Council Clerk, we will start off with R47.
Sir,
2022.
Councilwoman Jones?
This is for R47, Paul Braxton.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Harry?
Saying I haven't had a chance to speak to the person to see what he's about. I didn't have a chance to interview him. So I abstain. No reflection on him.
Yes, sir. Councilman Harrison?
Pass.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis,
Yes.
what's Councilman Hairston,
I abstain.
yes, sir. Okay, we have 5 yes, 2 abstain. This is passed.
Thank you. R 48/2022 for Miss Yvonne White, please.
Councilwoman Jones,
Abstain.
yes, ma'am. Councilman Herring,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Abstain.
President Curtis.
I'll say yes. And if it's, found out that she does not live in the city, she can be removed.
Yes, sir. We have 5 yes, 2 abstain. It's passed.
Okay, thank you. Next up is R 49/2022. Council Clerk.
Okay. Okay, this is resolution number R 49/2022, introduced by James A. Herring, council member, co-sponsored by the city of Glenard. Public hearing Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, session, regular session. Date of introduction, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. This is a resolution to authorize amusement rental for Glenard Day. Whereas the city council is promoting more community outreach, and whereas the city council would like to have a community event, and whereas the city council would like to celebrate Glenard Day to bring the community together for a day of celebration, and whereas the city council would like to have amusement rental of rides and games at Glenard Day. Whereas funding has been allocated in the 2022 budget for community outreach. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2022, that Fantasy Worlds Entertainment will provide amusement rental per the attached contract. The cost of services will not exceed $15,041.25. The funds will come from budget line item 10/30/10/8647. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
All right. Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor for a vote?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
I heard Councilwoman Ferguson first. Any discussion?
I have a question, Council President.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yes, to Councilman Herring. Councilman Herring, how much is the full amount we anticipate spending for Glenard Day?
We're trying to stand up what we did last year, in 2019, but a lot of things have gone up. If we can get the contributions that we get, I'm hoping maybe 25, maybe, but we did way less than that last year, but it seems like everything is running high. Getting contributions is kind of difficult. So maybe about 25, maybe. The biggest expenditures have already been gotten, and then we're at about, I think it's at about 19. So
So adding this, that's close to 35.
No, with this.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, with this, we're like, I think it's not either 19 or 21, something like that, between 19 and 21 right now. So that's with this, the clown and the food, we're at about like 19 to 21,000. I have to look at the numbers again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think we're somewhere, Ms. Herring, around 25, but I know in the budget, I believe we have $30,000 to spend.
No, because I think the catering was only 4,000 and the clown was only 2,500, I think it is, 2,700 like that.
Yeah, you could be right. I was just, my main point was I think the end of budget is $30,000.
Yeah, I'm not.
So I'm not saying that you got to spend $30,000, but, yeah.
All right.
Any other discussion? All right. Okay. Council Clerk.
Sir, Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilman Hairston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed,
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson,
Yes.
President Curtis.
Yes, I'm excited for Glenard Day. This I think will be my first official one.
You have
So,
7, this is passed.
all right. Okay. Next up is R50. Last one. Okay. I'll just go ahead and take this one. Resolution number R50 2022. Sponsor Kathleen J. Guillaume, Councilwoman. Co-sponsors Derek D. Curtis, Council President, Angela Ferguson, Vice President, and Erica Fareed, Councilwoman. The public hearing was held on June 14th, 2022, and the date of introduction is today, Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. A resolution to establish a special fund known as the Glenard Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund to reduce the impact of economic hardship arising from the pandemic caused by the coronavirus in the city of Glenard. Whereas on March 11th, 2021, the federal government enacted Public Law 117-2, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, or ARPA, to provide additional relief to address the continued impact of the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic on the economy, public health, state and local governments, individuals, and businesses. And whereas President Joe Biden signed the $1.9 trillion ARPA to aid public health and economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the ARPA funds are being distributed to the states, who are then distributing the funds to municipalities. And whereas the city of Glenard has accepted the one-time option to use ARPA funds as lost revenue, and whereas this option allows for more flexibility when it comes to addressing cities' needs. And I'm sorry, Council Clerk, could you finish reading this, please?
Whereas due to numerous mitigation measures recommended by the federal and state authorities and subsequently imposed by the state, City of Glenard residents continue to suffer from the economic hardships of various kinds. And whereas it is in the desire of the mayor and the city council to further ameliorate these economic hardships to the extent possible and to supplement the ARPA funds, with other funds available in the city's general funds. Whereas pursuant to section 602A26 of the charter of the city of Glenard and council of the charter of the city of Glenard and council has the authority to expend federal or state grant funds for any public purpose. And whereas pursuant to section 602A5 of the charter of the city of the Glenard and City Council has the authority to appropriate municipal funds for any purpose within the power of the council. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Glenard, Maryland, sitting in regular session this 21st day of June 2002 as follows. The council directs the treasurer to establish a line item in the FY22, FY23 budget to be referred as the Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund. The Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund shall be funded by an appropriation of $200,000 from the ARPA funds. Prior to the expenditure of the funds from the Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund, specific criteria and guidelines for such expenditures will be established and approved by the City Council. The city manager, with the assistance of the treasurer, should ensure that all expenditures from the Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund are properly documented, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage of the City Council.
Thank you, Council Clerk. I do a motion to bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Council Clerk?
I saw Council President, I saw Councilwoman Jones unmute before I did. So,
Councilwoman Jones?
No, I didn't have any discussion. I just unmuted to prepare for the vote.
oh, I'm sorry about that, Councilwoman Jones. Although this is my legislation, I have a comment, and I have a comment / a statement. So the statement is, this goes back to when we were talking about the stormwater mitigation. And I do feel that $200,000 is a low number, but I am just being conservative with that number, and I'm keeping it that way, but hoping that if our citizens are in dire need and funding is still available, that we'll be able to amend this legislation and increase the amount. That's the statement that I wanted to make on the legislation. The other thing that I wanted to say prior to voting is that we've been passing a lot of resolutions, or even bringing forth a lot of resolutions in regards to ARPA funding dollars that we want to use for our citizens. And I am imploring the administration to please do their due diligence in bringing forth a project person, I forgot the title per se, who will be administering these funds for these projects, because we've been spending a lot of countless hours and weeks and days trying to move forward with legislation to benefit the citizens with these ARPA funds. And we are basically at a standstill after we pass these legislations. So I just want to put that on record and say that, since it's being recorded, that I am strongly encouraging the administration to make this a priority, for them to identify a project person to administer these funds so we can get these projects moving forward to the citizens. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Guillaume. Is there any other discussion? Council Clerk?
Sorry about that. Councilwoman Jones.
Before I vote, I just like to say I agree with Councilwoman Guillaume about the administration moving forward with identifying a project manager that can administer these funds and keep good records for doing such. And I would suggest that the council president put a deadline on when this person, when we're going to find a person to do this with the administration, because if the administration cannot fulfill this, I think we should go ahead as a council and start identifying persons to come on to be the project manager for the opera funds, because we are absolutely sitting in limbo. My answer to this resolution is yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman
Thank you.
Herring.
What we voting on? The legislation?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm good, yeah. All right.
Councilman Hairston.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Guillaume.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson.
Yeah, people tired.
President Curtis.
Yes.
We have 7. This is passed. Thank you.
Whew. All right. Next up, administrative reports. Is the mayor still on? Oh,
I'm still here, President.
okay. Mayor Cross,
Very
you
good.
have the floor.
All right, good evening, citizens. We won't keep you long, and thank you, Council President. Council, good evening. So resolutions that have been pressed forward, the Ethics Commission, we actually submitted 3. I take it 1 resume didn't get to the council, and the Youth Advisory Committee 1. I'm not sure what happened with Mr. Roland Mincy's resolution tonight, but I do note that on the 6th of June, we did submit his resume. Thank you for the ordinance in reference to the new City Council supporting the Glenard Housing Authority residents, and also the meeting that was held, which gave the residents an opportunity to speak on behalf of some of the concerns that they have. Thank you again for the ARPA money resolution passed this evening, R50 2022. Now, we had submitted a project manager. The council denied that project manager, so we will be looking for a new project manager to manage the ARPA funds. As a follow-up to traffic calming measures, we submitted to Census Gatas for the traffic calming measures. I didn't see that in the resolution tonight, but as requested by the council, success stories have been submitted. Please check your emails. Delays in securing the resolution for Proctor, GS Proctor. Essentially, GS Proctor withdrew their nomination for being able to support the city as it pertains to not only the lobbying, but also as it pertains to managing the ARPA funds. FY23 budget review has been completed. We note that there's several budget discussions that will happen here recently, and we do note from our last meeting that the taxes will not be increased. 12 office call meetings over the course of this particular past month. I won't go through those severe details. I only acknowledge that I was able to attend the Prince George's crime meeting on May the 26th, which was very well done with Chief Ozzie and the team. Got a chance to mention the Hope and Action Task Force and many of the honors that will be provided as far as going towards the latest crime activity, being able to address those and draw down on the youth disenfranchisement and the growing concern over expanding programs and actual actions as it pertains to gun violence across this county. Was able to go to Just Sylvania Woods' first annual Community Health Fair, as well as the first annual Community Health Fair with Glenard Community Center this past month. So lots of good news and press out there for community health, community well attended, with council members Herring and Ferguson out at Judge Sylvania Woods and Herring out at Glenard Community Center. So thank you for those attendees. Residents of Glenard did have a Zoom call with me, which ultimately led to our council having another meeting with them. Glenard Housing Director actually was informed of several of the complaints, and as a result did make a request to the county for funding to support the right sizing or minor renovations for the units that are associated with Glenard Housing Authority. Be able to follow up with her as to whether or not she was actually afforded that grant money. So that is a success story of being able to support our community. As far as the Historical Society is concerned, do want to meet with the Glenard Pioneers. There was a request to meet with me as the mayor to share some ideas on upcoming projects and events planning. So still need to have that meeting. As far as the Hope in Action Task Force, there will be actually a community assessments division utilizing community assets and first responders, as well as 311 to notify partnerships, if you will, of nonprofits who can immediately intervene and get out front of criminal and mental incidences where jail time or mental or emotional breakdowns could be the subsequent result. So Maryland Black Mayors, as well as the Maryland Municipal League occurred this past week. But on the 25th, Maryland Black Mayors did meet to elect its new president, which is going to be Mayor Nimhart out of New Carrollton. Did receive a couple of inclusions for this past month, one into the Points of Life Inspirational Honor Roll for volunteerism and leadership. So that will be awarded in the coming month. Proclamations that went forth, several, let's say 6 different proclamations that went forth. We do have one in specific that we will do for Judge Sylvania Woods, as they're also reaching out to the University of Maryland and partnering with their community outreach program to actually build a residual base for community assessment and impact. So this is a really good story Judge Sylvania Woods is moving forward on. We did the swearing in of Chief Regis Bryant. Thank you to all the citizens, as well as our city council, city manager, treasurer, for all the support and ensuring that our chief was welcomed royally. And also a big shout out to Ms. Vivica Jones and Ms. Joan Allen for their phenomenal event. That was the initial swearing in. Third quarter events calendar postcard has been prepped. We are looking at, once the budget is passed, for pushing out the next quarter events calendar. So please, citizens, check the network and also the front office there at the Municipal Center when those are actually printed. We will have, well, May was Mental Health Awareness Month. The Mayoral Community Forum included mindfulness and healthy living, which assessed the health and mental health and genuineness, if you will, of mediation as it pertains to FY23. Our panelists there included Ressa, Dr. Joan Henry Fields, and Nurse Foxy Brown, international author and speaker for peace. It was a fantastic event which talks to anxiety and depression in our community and shares some best practices, as well as techniques for healthy living and eating. The first Mental Health Expo, again at Judge Sylvania Woods, was a huge success. We are looking to partnering more with not only Judge Sylvania Woods Elementary School, but our Glen Arden community, Glen Arden Elementary School as well, as we are looking at even in our 5th grade to 6th grade transition, there is a concern with the amount of gun violence that has recently populated across other areas in the country to make sure that they are safe and secure. I do want to highlight our police force for what they're doing with ensuring that they're inside of the schools and actually staying connected and building that grand relationship. We're expanding our community communications program. We did not get resolution passed for Still Beach, and I just want to make that connection that Still Beach post Productions LLC should have been the name on that resolution R45/2022. So I just want to highlight that. So that concludes my mayoral report, and I stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor Cross. Next up, we have, how are we? The city manager's report.
Thank you, President Curtis. I'll make it brief. Just a couple of quick things. In the city manager's office, the biggest outcomes last month were the 3 RFPs. One was for the trash, of which we only received 1 bid on that, and that was from Good CGI Residential Incorporated. We did not receive any RFP proposals for the city attorney, and we received 4 proposals for the architectural and engineering firm. As I mentioned earlier, we are reviewing those to bring to you a candidate for selection. In the Human Resources Department, we are working with Municipal Solutions to perform the salary survey for the city. We anticipate having a draft of that by the end of the week. And we also have reevaluated the ARPA project manager position description, and that shall be on the internet and on the regular recruiting platforms that we use by the end of the week. In code enforcement, there were quite a number of notice of inspections. Most of those were pertaining to residents not having a county or city permit to build on their property, and residents not keeping up with the exterior property maintenance, and people not keeping their animals on a leash. We are fully staffed in the code enforcement division, having brought on our last full-time code enforcement officer, Officer Wright. So now we are up to full staff with that. Gold Room report. We had 6 scheduled Gold Room events between the 1st of May and the last of May, and 1 scheduled Glenard Community Center event for the month. And we have projected 3 scheduled Gold Room events that will be coming up in the month of June. The webmaster and media specialist report. Most of that was assisting with communications, as the mayor mentioned, with the communication strategy, with the 3rd quarter postcard being ready, and a number of other activities on building content on the new website, and building up new content on the new community channel system, the cable channel. We were hoping to have the contract for Still Beach Post Productions LLC approved. And I welcome any questions that we can answer to make that go more smoothly in the upcoming future. The progress on the administrative staff of building a new resident distribution list for the Code Red Emergency Notification Center system is what we're working on with the media specialists as well, and also continuance of in-progress projects to completion. That's all that I have for right now, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. Barbara, I'm sorry, Ms. Jones. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Council President. To City Manager Barber, you say you put an RFP out for the attorney?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
That's the, wouldn't we just put out an advertisement to advertise that we need, just as we would do any other employee, RFP for an attorney?
Right, we, in my experience, that's what I had done before, is to put that out on MML and put that out to the Maryland City and County Attorneys Association. I mean, we can put it out as a job description and put it back out on MML, but the RFP is a little bit more in depth in terms of what we are expecting to have from the firm or from the individual, because it may not be just one individual, it may be a firm that is applying for the position. And so that's why we did an RFP, but we certainly can issue that as a position and see if we have any more luck with that. It was put on MML and it was put on the website and it was shared with the Maryland Municipal Attorneys Association.
Okay. Councilman Herring can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we put an RFP out the last time for an attorney. I think it was just we put out for it went to MML, IMML, and those different places for an attorney. Also, Councilman Curtis, weren't we given anyway? This is also Councilman Herring, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The attorney is for the council anyway, so it's up to us to find an attorney unless the council president instructed you to put out an RFP for the attorney. He may have done that and I don't know anything about it. Councilman Curtis, Council
Yes.
President Curtis, did the person that was recommended by our former attorney, have we reached out to that person?
For that particular question, I have to defer to Ms. Barber, as I did speak to her about that, but I defer to her expertise as a city manager, just the process of the onboarding of an attorney. As I understood it, it's a contracted position and not a city employee, which I think triggered the RFP. But Ms. Barber and I did speak about who Ms. Karpinski recommended. And I think she had a conversation with that person, but Councilwoman, goodness gracious, Ms. Barber, did you ever reach out to that individual?
Yes, I did reach out to that individual on 2 different occasions. I contacted them at their place of business and left 2 messages. I also sent an email and I have not heard back from that individual.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the response you, all right, thank you.
Okay,
Mr. President, I do have a question for the city manager.
Councilman Herring.
Yes, again, I've just been informed again, and this is really getting on my nerve, it's really disturbing, that again, the handicap doors are being locked again, so people can't get in who are in wheelchairs. Somebody came for an event in a wheelchair and they had to go all the way to those glass doors to try to get in, and that is not right and that's not fair. You're not supposed to block the access for handicap access with them doors are being locked. So I don't know who's locking them or why they're locked, but it was locked and they had to go all the way down and you had to get 2 people to help this one person get into a door. And that's not the way the law denies that type of restriction to people who are disabled from being able to get into a public building. So, and also I'm also hearing that the men's bathrooms are not being cleaned.
The men's bathroom is for the gold room or for
the gold room.
No, as far as I'm aware, they are being cleaned.
Okay, well, I'm not. They told me that. Somebody told me they haven't been cleaned, and they got pictures showing that they haven't been cleaned. But I'm just letting you know what I'm.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
All right, and definitely that door being locked, the handicap door being locked is a major problem. It's going to get us sued.
Locked during event or locked during business hours?
Locked during an event.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is the treasurer's report. Is Mr. Stewart on? Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
if you can just give a summary level and not a
Yes, this
detail
is just
level.
going to be an abbreviated treasurer's report. Just giving you the totals for the end of April 2022, where we have total revenues of 7,064,673. Total expenses were 3,362,89. And we have revenues still exceeding expenses of 3,704,385. Real property tax installment receipts for the month of April. We received 26,587 compared to 15,328 from the prior year. In subsequent month, May, we received 10,870. The collections for general funds amounted to 4,495,867 with local taxes, bringing in 3,930,000. License and permits, 48,593. State grant is 110,000. Street assessment or street and special assessment was 271,000. It remained. And other financial sources is 135,000. Collections for personal property tax for the month of April was 3,514, leaving a balance of 38,030. In May, we collected 8,000. The city cash balance is sufficient to pay bills going forward. On June 3rd, the operating account had 9,219,443, a forbearance account of $7,078,000. The go room account had 121,649. The block grant had 4,198, and the cable PG grant had 323,700. And that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. When do we get that second block of funding for ARPA?
The next block of funds should come in no later than mid-August.
Okay, thank
Yes, you're welcome.
you. Chief Bryant, you are up.
All right, this will be real brief. Back in June 4th, did the Meet the Chief cookout. We met some of the residents. Also, I've been out in the community, meeting some of the residents in the different wards, passing a flyer prior to the event. The event became, it was a success. Was able to reach out to community members, pass us some business cards, and the community is starting to know who I am now and calling and emailing. And so we begin to develop a rapport. I'm also reaching out, going out to the businesses and churches in the area. As the mayor stated earlier, in wake of the shootings, the mass shootings across the country, we've been going to the schools before and after, also being visible in the shopping centers and so forth. So we're still, we just hired 2 new officers who will be starting June 27th. They finished the process. So they'll be starting with us June 27th to backfill the 2 slots with the 2 officers that retired. So we're up to our authorized strength of 15 officers right now. And that's all we have at this time for the police department.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Bryant. Next, are there any citizens' comments to? I'm sorry,
I do have
Councilman
one
Harris.
question for Chief. So, Chief Brian, so you was mentioning having an awards banquet for the officers?
Yes, real quick. I want to do an awards ceremony for the officers, August 10th. So we work on that. I talked to Captain Jackson. I think it'd be good for officers to build morale and so forth and recognize them. So I'll be reaching out to you guys to see if the goal room be available for that date. I know I spoke to Ms. Robinson earlier, and she said that we had gratis for my swearing in. So the goal room might not be available without a fee. So I'll be reaching out to find out if it's not available. I'll be having it downstairs in the nutrition center, but it will be done on August 10th, and we will have put it out formally this week, and have the council and everybody in attendance.
Chief, normally when you want to do something like that, you just will come to the council and ask the council. You don't go through the goal room coordinator, because she doesn't say who. I mean, we own the room, so we say who can have it and who cannot have it. I mean, the previous chief always will come to the council and ask the council if they can go room. She's not the person you would go to for something like that, because again, it's not like you're a paying customer. You're the chief of police for the city of Glenard, and you give something for your employees. So you'll just come to the city, come to the council, something like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you just basically explained the procedure. And so I was like, and that's my intent, to come out and reach out to you individuals, the council. So thank you very much for the clarification.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
All right. Ms. Jones, is that a new hand? I can't hear you.
It is, but I'm
Okay.
gonna pass on that one.
Okay. All right. With that, we'll move on to citizens' comments. If you have a comment, please feel free to raise your hand, your virtual hand. If you cannot find your virtual hand, feel free to unmute and make yourself recognized so that I can call on you. All right. Are there no citizens' comments? Oh, Miss Wilson.
Good evening. At an earlier meeting, I think it was last month, you told Mr. Herring that he is able to get the ballots now because you had the key. So I just want to know, did he ever get the ballots that he was looking for?
I take it not. I connected Mr. Herring with a board member, and they're supposed to be setting a date, and I don't know what date they have finalized on, and then he'll be able to go in and under supervision by election board member and examine the ballots.
Okay, and my second question is, you said that you had the key, and I want to know, why did you have the key? Because I thought that the city manager was the custodial of the ballots, and so she should have had the key.
Well, Ms. Wilson, the person who had the key was going out of town. I was going out of town. He could not take it to, I don't know the backstory to that, but he did drop it off at my house. And that's how I got the key. I don't own the key, don't want the key. It was just dropped off at my house.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, why wasn't it given to the city manager?
Unfortunately, there's an unfortunate backstory to this. There was something was said about the police being brought to the person's house. It just didn't turn out as amicable as it could have, and so to avoid any drama, the board person just dropped it off at my house.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions, comments from the citizens? 1 second, Michelle, as I come, just make sure nobody else has any comments or questions. Okay, with that, Ms. Jones.
I do have one suggestion for the administration about the ARPA fund manager. Early on, when we first started talking about the ARPA fund, Ms. Lewis, the council clerk, was in contact with some persons, different municipalities. A couple of municipalities had a ARPA fund managers that they were willing to give us the information for to share. If Council President, to expedite, to make the process more expedient, is it all right if the council clerk shares with the city manager, Ms. Barber, these persons, so that we can move this process forward in getting an ARPA fund manager, somebody that these ARPA fund managers that Ms. Lewis presented to us were persons that were certified by the federal government in doing and administering these funds.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank
Teamwork
you.
makes the dream work.
Amen. Thank you.
All right. If there are no other comments or concern, the time, thank everybody who stayed this long for sticking it out with us during this long meeting. We had a long list of legislation that needed to be voted on, so appreciate it. And if you like, please attend our budget work session on Thursday at 7:30. With that, the time is 11:01 and this meeting is now adjourned. Have a good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Aye, thank you.